After these two people heard this question, they also showed embarrassment on their faces. He didn't expect that after this battle, the Danwang Pagoda had completely ceased to exist. Originally Danwang Pagoda was thriving, but at this moment it has been reduced to what it is now, which makes Sima Yao lament the impermanence of the world. Originally, the original intention of the establishment of the Pill Emperor Pagoda was to fight for the monks in the world. It was originally the most important part of the orthodox sect. Li, and fell into this abyss and couldn't extricate himself. He also wanted to change, but the others kept his words light, and he could only watch the Pill Emperor Pagoda sink into the abyss step by step. I don't know for sure. The Pill Emperor Pagoda has been destroyed. I don't know if it's good or bad. Maybe it's a good thing for the monks in this world. Sima Yao said with a sigh. He has naturally known how many bad things Pill Emperor Pagoda has done behind the scenes in these years, and the enmity between Pill Emperor Pagoda and Yaoyan sect has been a long time ago. They have even monopolized all alchemists in this world, as well as the resources of alchemists. This is also the root of their ability to dominate the entire Tianquan domain, but prosperity must decline, and today's catastrophe is the retribution of what they have done over the years. By the way, where is Elder Su? Mu Shoran suddenly came back to his senses at this time, and found that Su Han hadn't appeared yet, and their bodies shook. Lin Xiao was also very nervous at this moment. It could be said that Su Han brought it here by himself. If something happened, he would not be able to get rid of it. If he hadn't been confused by the strength of those exercises for a while, he wouldn't have done such a vile act. If anything happened to Su Han here, he would feel guilty for the rest of his life. The elders of Yao Yanzong also realized that they were very anxious. The problem of the evil cholera has been solved. If something goes wrong with Su Han, it will be a big deal. Quickly look for it, quickly look for it, absolutely don't let Xiao Su say anything. Fifth Elder Qin Yiwang also spoke very anxiously at this time. But the time of half a stick of incense has passed, and there is still no sign of Su Han around here. They are a little anxious at this moment, and they knew that he should not have allowed Su Han to act alone. If you can watch him firmly, then he will not have other problems. But he didn't think so much at that time, because before he summoned that demon, that Huang Wuxi was pressed to the ground by their suzerain Lin Yan and beat him violently. Who knew that there were so many changes in such a short period of time? Elder, I'm here, don't worry, I won't have any major incidents, after all, I'm such an adult, I won't get lost. Su Han suddenly appeared behind them. After seeing Su Han's sudden appearance, the few of them first showed shock, and then worried. Said, Elder Su, don't run around again next time. If something happens to you, then we will bear the blame. After all, who knows what kind of trap these demons have secretly laid. Don't worry, nothing else will happen, but what happened here? I seem to have seen such a huge black cloud in the sky just now. Moreover, I could feel an evil energy pervading the sky above the Pill Emperor Tower. Of course, after a long time, the evil energy began to dissipate slowly, and there were actually two such terrifying auras coming from the sky above the Pill Emperor Tower. Su Han asked. Of course, he knows the answers to these questions, because he is just a spectator who sees this matter from beginning to end. Moreover, this Xiemo Wushan was also beheaded and killed by himself. He asked such a question because he didn't want his identity to be exposed. It's fine, Su Xiaoyu, let me tell you, you missed a huge show just now, after Huang Wuxi was beaten on the ground by me, he was so angry that he summoned a demon. At this time, Lin Yan also talked about the cause and effect of this incident with Su Han. Is that so? It's such a pity that I missed such a scene, but suzerain, you have broken through to the realm of the Earth Supreme, which is really gratifying and congratulatory, Su Han said. Lin Yan waved his hands, and said with a look of joy on his face, it's all thanks to the senior in front of you. If it wasn't for him, then it would be impossible for me to get out of the thunder disaster alive, let alone break through to the supreme realm. The old man is just doing his best. After all, we should work together in front of these things. If this demon is allowed to escape, then the entire sky region will be in great trouble. The old woman of the glazed sect, he also waved his hand. However, Su Xiaoyu, do you really not consider coming to my glazed tile sect? As long as you are willing to come to my glazed tile sect, I will satisfy you with any resources you want. Even if you want to be the suzerain of my glazed tile sect, you can do the same with yourself. At this moment, the old woman of the glazed glass sect squinted her eyes slightly, staring at Su Han in front of her. Old guy, you helped me to cross the catastrophe. Su Han is a member of our Yaoyan sect. Isn't it too much for you to poach my people away in front of me? Seeing this, Lin Yan smiled and said beside him. Because he didn't worry at all that Su Han would really agree to the conditions of the old woman of the glazed sect, because after getting along with him these days, he has completely understood Su Han's nature. Su Han values love and righteousness and will not do such a thing that betrays others. Although he is a little lazy, his behavior is beyond doubt. No, old senior, I'd better stay at Yaoyanzong. Yaoyanzong may be more suitable for me, but when the time is right, I will go to Liulizong to pay you a good visit. What Su Han said didn't have the slightest flaw. After hearing these words, the old woman of the glazed tile sect only said with a regretful expression on her face. Really? That's really a pity. In this case, the old man is looking forward to your arrival in the Liulizong. But what I said before is still a matter of time. If you want to come, the gate of my Liulizong will always be open to you. You are open. Old Ghost Lin, you are really lucky. It's really enviable to be able to pick up such a peerless genius. You are really lucky. To be able to pick up such a peerless genius is really enviable. Such a terrifying alchemy talent. As long as you Yaoyanzong use all your strength to cultivate it, Su Xiaoyu will resound in it in the alchemy of Tiankanu. After the old woman of the glazed tile sect finished saying this, the look of envy on her face became more and more intense. After hearing these words, Lin Yan was also very happy at the moment. Since meeting Su Han, it can be said that his luck has soared in a straight line. Realm. Thinking of this, he looked at Su Han in front of him more and more pleasing to his eyes, and after feeling Lin Yan's fiery gaze in front of him, Su Han's tiger body shook and he said. Sect Master. What are you trying to do by staring straight at me? Oh, it's nothing, I just feel that Su Xiaoyu seems to have become more powerful again. I'm afraid it won't be long before Tien Kunu, all alchemists will respect you. Lin Yan smiled. It's still early, and I just got a glimpse of the way of alchemy, Su Han said with a smile. However, things are really troublesome now. I don't know what the two fellow Taoists plan to do in the future. The Pill Emperor Pagoda has been completely destroyed now. Although it is said that some disciples escaped, they are no different from being dead in name only, so what is the plan of the two of you? Lin Yan said. Sima Yao and Mu Shoran, he still has some impressions of these two people, and in his impression, these two people don't seem to be particularly excessive, and they haven't done anything outrageous. And when Wu Hongdao and Huang Wuxi, the tower owners of Danwang Pagoda, insulted them, they seem to be still helping them. So these two people have no problem at least in terms of character, but now that the Pill Emperor Pagoda is gone, where they go is also a problem. The matter has come to this, and I don't know where to go. Sima Yao looked a little confused at the moment, because the Danwang Pagoda had completely destroyed his shelter and he didn't know where to change. Why don't you come to my Yaoyan sect? If you come to my Yaoyan sect, then what is your position in the Pill Emperor Pagoda, and what is your position in my Yaoyan sect? Sima Yao's level of alchemy is still good, and Lin Yan is also thinking about poaching this talent. Knowing what their Yaoyan sect lacks the most, of course it is an alchemist. Now there is only one alchemist, Su Han, in the Yaoyan sect. It would be good if we could recruit 2 more. Elder Sima. What are your plans? Mu Shoran seemed even more confused at this time. You must know that he is just a small disciple in the Danwang Pagoda. If it wasn't for Su Han who helped him back then and knew him, I'm afraid he would still explode in alchemy now. But the Pill Emperor Pagoda has been destroyed. What will he do next is also a huge problem. You can follow Sect Master Lin Yan to Yaoyan sect. I believe he will not treat you badly, but I still have some things to do. I want to go out and travel and find some medicinal materials by the way. I have a hunch that I will stay in sect. I will not improve my alchemy in the door, so I might as well go out and have a good time. Sima Yao spoke after thinking for a long time. He made such a decision, naturally after careful consideration, he could no longer make any progress in alchemy in this Pill Emperor Pagoda. Being able to stay there for so many years is only because of the support of the previous tower owners. Now that the Danwang Tower has been completely destroyed, he doesn't have so much psychological pressure. In this way, it is better to travel around and perfect your alchemy. Elder Su. Mu Shoran will be taken care of by Yao Yanzong. I hope that Elder Su will guide him more in the future, Sima Yao said. After hearing this sentence, Lin Yan felt a little regretful at the moment. It would be even better if Sima Yao could be brought here. After all, Sima Yao's alchemy skills are in this Pill Emperor Pagoda. No one can compare with him except Wu Hongdao. However, people have their own ambitions, and he can't force them to stay in his place. Since they have the idea of going out and wandering outside, he can only let them go. Elder Sima, don't worry, our Yaoyan sect will definitely take good care of little brother Mu Shorin. Fifth Elder Qin Yiwang also spoke very solemnly at this time. This also made him very happy. The sect has accepted an alchemist, which is good news. After they are trained in the future, this Mu Shorin will undoubtedly bring great benefits to their Yao Yanzong. Elder Su, since this is the case, we will have a meeting in the future. I hope that when we meet Elder Su again, we can sit and discuss the Tao with Elder Su, and have a good discussion about this alchemy technique. Sima Yao clasped his fists, and Tian Fen spoke loudly. He can be said to have great admiration for Su Han. Although Su Han in front of him is extremely young, his alchemy skills can be said to be superb, and even he feels ashamed. The so-called expert is a teacher, and the opponent has such a strong strength, so he naturally has to give due respect. Well, Elder Sima, we will meet later. Su Han also cupped his fists to pay respects to Sima Yao. And the fact that the Pill Emperor Pagoda has been completely destroyed has also come to an end, and the crowd on it has also completely left at this moment. At this time, in another world, a figure sits high on the throne, but the throne is full of dead bones, and this world is full of darkness. This side of the world doesn't even have light shining on it, it's full of evil and murderous intent. And the figure sitting high on the throne opened his eyes at this time, with a look of indifference on his face. He is really an interesting person. He can surprise me so much. Then I really need to meet you for a while. The figure sitting high on the throne clenched his fists and stood up. This body seemed to have not moved for a long time, and he felt the blood flowing in his body. The belligerent heart in his body also surged violently at this time. However, it's really troublesome. At this time, if you want to break through the seal of the demon world, you can't do it. It's really annoying. Those damned guys, after I go out, I have to kill those damned guys first. Then go and look for that shocking brat. At this time, the person who spoke was Wu Tianai, who had a ray of consciousness descending on the body of the demon before. Speaking of which, the man looked at the magic dragon under his feet, with a look of impatience flashing across his face, and said, "Shut up, give me peace of mind. I'm not in a good mood right now. If you don't want to die, just lie there obediently for me." After saying this sentence, the magic dragon only felt that the breath around him seemed to become very cold. He can clearly perceive that his life seems to be taken away in the next moment. So he lay there obediently, like an obedient dog, not daring to make Sifu's movements. Boy, we will meet again next time, we will definitely meet again. At this time, Wu Shen showed a wicked smile on his face. At this moment, Su Han, who had led everyone back to the Yaoyan sect, suddenly heard a mechanical, cold voice from National. Congratulations to the successful investment of the host. Rewarded. 500 years of kendo comprehension. On the other side, Moyu opened his eyes, and the sword intent on his body became extremely sharp. He seemed to have been guided by something just now, and walked up this mountain, but found that there was a cave on the mountain, and there were some broken swords in the cave. When he saw those broken swords, his face was full of puzzled expressions. After all, his inner drive brought him here, but he didn't see a real magic weapon, only these broken weapons were there. This made him a little disappointed, but he wanted to leave, but there was a very strong consciousness in his heart that was guiding him to go forward, as if he didn't want him to leave here. This also made him very puzzled, and then he followed his own consciousness to walk up to the middle, but found that the residual swords around him began to violently turbulent. But this still didn't make him stop. He walked forward slowly, until he came to a rusty sword. That precious sword didn't seem to have any bright spots, it could be said to be a piece of scrap iron, and the blade was even covered with rust. But there was a strong premonition in his heart that wanted him to hold that sword tightly, and even wanted him to pull out this sword. Even he couldn't resist this strong intention, and when he came back to his senses, this blood-stained sword had already appeared in his hand. In the next second, the turmoil of those broken swords around him became more and more intense, until a powerful consciousness began to drill into his body. His whole body seemed to be forced to undergo a transformation, and the broken swords around him began to revolve around him on and off. At this time, I realized that this is a unique opportunity, which is definitely a godsend. So he relaxed his mind, sat on the spot, and began to absorb this huge sword intent. After hearing this burst of icy voice, Su Han was also a little surprised at this time. It seems that the previous investment has received feedback again. At this time, he also felt very happy. Okay. Then it's time to solve the problem of their cultivation in the drug research. We can't let them stay in this cycle forever, Su Han said. May I ask the host to claim it now, or wait until later? Let's put it away first, and get it later. Su Han said in his mind at this time. He still has one more thing to do now, and that is to completely eliminate the toxins on Yao Yanzong's body. So he took big strides and came directly to the hall where the Lord of Yaoyan sect was. Oh, why does Elder Yin have time to come to my place? Lin Yu also showed a kind smile on his face when he saw him coming. The more he looks at Su Han now, the more pleasing he is. After all, since Su Han came, he has been lucky. Not only did he solve the crisis in the Pill Emperor Pagoda, but he also improved his own strength a lot. But the matter that weighs on his mind now is still about his Yao Yanzong's cultivation method. Now that there is no suppression from the Pill Emperor Pagoda, he can recruit more and more alchemists in the future, and let them practice the Qingshan Dan. Good control. Sovereign, I came here today to help you solve a big problem, Su Han said. Oh, what's the big problem? Elder Su, now our Yaoyan sect has no big or small problems. It can be said that it is flourishing. Even I have broken through to the supreme realm of the earth. Is there any problem? Do you need to solve it? Lin Yan touched his chin, his face lost in thought. As far as the current problem is concerned, the only problem is the flaw of this cultivation method, but after all, there is a price to be paid for stealing the power of heaven and earth for cultivation, and this Qingxuanzhou can only be suppressed for a period of time. But this problem has been solved, because without the Pill Emperor Pagoda, they can recruit alchemists without any scruples. At that time, the 7th grade Qingshan pill will not be a problem for them at all. So now speaking, there shouldn't be any problems in Yao Yanzong, it can be regarded as a problem. Of course there are still problems. Our Yaoyan sect's cultivation method has major flaws, you know it, Su Han said. After hearing this sentence, Lin Yan said with a bitter expression on his face at the moment. I also know this, that yesterday's creation of the earth is used for cultivation, and there must be a price to be paid. After all, the road of cultivation, it can't be so easy, what you get means what you have to lose. As for our Yaoyan sect, although we have absorbed the power of the sun's flames in exchange for great strength, but what follows in is that the toxin invades the body, and we want serious disciples to transform into snake demons. This kind of thing should be irreversible, so it is very troublesome to solve it, but it may be possible to solve this problem when Su Xiaoyu enters a higher realm and obtains a more powerful alchemy method. No need, it's so troublesome, suzerain, I can solve this problem now, it was just because of lack of strength before. Now I have a little understanding, and my strength has already made some breakthroughs, so it should not be difficult to solve this problem, Su Han said. I know this question is a bit difficult for you, but... At this point, Lin Yan was stunned for a moment, and after realizing it, he immediately ran to Su Han, his eyes staring like copper bells. The general stared at him. Su Xiaoyu, what did you just say? You just said that you can solve this problem. Is it true or not? Lin Yan was short of breath at this moment. If this problem can be solved, then their Yaoyan sect will have no regrets. Plate. This also means that their only weakness will completely disappear, and their strength will become stronger and stronger in the future. They also don't have to be afraid of the toxins invading too much into their bodies. Without the suppression of the pill, they will completely become a snake demon who has no reason and only knows how to kill. Sovereign, please calm down. I just said that I have a way to solve this problem, so don't be so excited, just listen to me. Su Han looked at his burning eyes, and at this time his body was also shaking. Tight, said a little helplessly. Oh, ha 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 ha, the old man lost his composure. I was too shocked when I heard the news just now. I'm sorry. Lin Yan seemed to have reacted, and seeing his current expression, he seemed to be frightened. Su Han in front of him also quickly apologized. But in the next second, his expression became very serious again. Looking at Su Han in front of him, he said, this matter of Su Xiaoyu is of great importance, it concerns my entire Yaoyan sect, and the future development of my entire Yaoyan sect. As the sect master, I have the responsibility to determine, is it true or false that you can solve the problem? Of course it's true. Su, do what I say. I haven't done any of the things I've said all along. The suzerain should be able to trust me, Sophie said. Ha 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 ha, if that's the case, that's really great. Then what is the way to completely eliminate the toxins carried by our Yao Yanzong? Lin Yan asked very eagerly. If this problem can be solved, then he is really the leader of the sect that is second to none in the history of Yaoyan sect. The leaders of the Yaoyan sect in the past all wanted to find a solution to the problem of excessive toxins produced by this daily topic, but their explorations were in vain, because the fortune that surpasses the world will definitely pay a price. Unless they stop practicing, or pay for their own exercises, in this way, the toxin can be completely eliminated. But how could those people be willing to abolish their own cultivation techniques? Knowing a strength can be said to be the most important thing for monks. People who cultivate the Tao want to compete for the top, they want to stand on the top, otherwise why would they want to cultivate the Tao? Their people who cultivate the Tao want to intercept a ray of immortality in this world, and they will be honored in the heavens in the future. It can be said that it is more difficult to make them abolish their martial arts. Therefore, this time he heard that there is a way to completely solve the problem of the toxins carried by Yao Yanzong. He was very shocked, and at the same time full of anticipation. Speaking of which, Su Han led Lin Yan to the cultivation formation of Yao Yanzong. This formation is the core of their cultivation, and it is also the means by which they can steal the power of heaven and earth. Elder Su, what do you think of our Yaoyan sect's formation? Lin Yan looked at the formation in front of him, with a look of pride on his face, because this is the foundation of their Yaoyan sect's foothold, and this formation can help they steal the power of heaven and earth and use it for cultivation, but the only fly in the ointment is that the consequences he brings are also irreversible. This formation can be said to be a supernatural workmanship. To be able to create such an amazing formation, I think he is also a senior with all hands and eyes, Su Han said. After hearing this sentence, Lin Yan showed a proud look on his face. Yes, that's true, but such a formation will also bring painful consequences. It is impossible not to pay a price while gaining power. Lin Yan sighed. I can make up for the shortcomings of this formation, Su Han said. Really? Lin Yan said. Since I've said it, I'm sure I can do it, Su Han said. Then it's up to me to help us ask Yan Zhong to make up for this last shortcoming, Su Han said. Previously, it was because his strength had not yet reached that level, but now that he has broken through to the Supreme Realm, he naturally has the ability to complete this formation, not to mention that he still has a warranty. This chaotic ancient town fairy book contains many formations, which can naturally help him solve the current problem. Sovereign, please back away first, and let's see how I can solve this problem, Su Han said with a smile. As he spoke, he saw a simple divine book suddenly appearing in his hand. There was a powerful aura emanating from Zhou's body in this divine book. The moment Su Han opened it, that powerful aura shot straight into the sky in an instant, and in front of him, the great formation of the Yaoyan sect seemed to be drawn. Usually at this time, it starts to run automatically. You know, but no one is practicing in it. At this time, the Zongmen formation on the top of the mountain began to automatically absorb the power of the sun's flames. These changes shocked Lin Yan, who was next to him, but in the next second he only saw Su Han's hand moving quickly. The Guardian Array began to operate to the extreme, and it was still absorbing the power of the sun's flames. Seeing that this big town seems to be running to the limit, the famous saying next to him seemed to feel that something was wrong, so he quickly said to Su Han next to him, "Is Elder Su really alright? I think our sect, the big formation, seems to have reached its limit." "Don't worry, it's better now, it's just the beginning," Su Mei smiled. Su Han suddenly stretched out his hand at this moment, and pointed at the eye of the sect's formation. The sect's formation began to collapse instantly, and there was a booming sound, which made Lingen beside him feel very shocked. But something that shocked him even more happened in the next second. He saw that their sect's great formation started to operate again at this time, as if it had been completely reborn. Okay. Now that this problem has been solved, the suzerain might as well try it out for himself and see if it works, Su Mei smiled. At this time, Lin Yan walked in without any doubt and began to practice. That day, the power of Rian began to enter his body continuously, but what shocked him was that since there was not a single bit of toxin coming out. Ha 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 ha. It's solved, it's really solved. The problem that has plagued us for so many years has finally disappeared. I can finally practice normally, and I won't be laughed at by anyone anymore. I beat the snake demon. Lin Yan was crying with joy at this moment. I'm going to call those old guys over now to make them happy too. Lin Yan was very happy and planned to call those elders over to share the joy together. At this moment, those elders were also very puzzled when they were called over. Along the way, their faces were also very sad, because their suzerain Lin Yan seemed to have lost his mind and went crazy. Because it was the first time for them to see Lin Yan, who was so happy. My lord, what's going on here? I don't know. The old man seems to be getting more and more strange these days, laughing out loud from time to time. Could it be that the suzerain is mad after breaking through to the supreme realm of the earth? I can't rule out this possibility. It seems that we should pay close attention to the current situation of the suzerain. After all, the suzerain is the most powerful person in our Yaozong. If he goes crazy, our Yaoyan sect will collapse sooner or later. The sect master has collapsed, so why not leave this position to Elder Su, the team leader? After taking this position, I believe he will lead our Yaoyan sect to go further and stronger. After hearing the discussion below, Lin Yan in front of him put away his previous smile, the corner of his mouth twitched, and his face was very helpless. Okay, there is no other meaning in calling you here today, Lin Yan said. Sect Master, I don't need to say any more. I know you are very happy to break through to the Earth's supreme realm, but you can't do this every day. There is a saying that is called extreme joy begets sorrow. Sovereign, you should restrain yourself a little bit. Fifth Elder Qin Yiwang whispered next to him said. Ku, don't interrupt me here, you old guy. I'm calling you here to announce a very important thing to you. Just now, Su Xiaoyu has helped to completely solve the accumulation of exercises in the body. The toxin problem. Lin Yan said. So that's how it is. I thought you, suzerain, went crazy first. Ah, it's good that you're not crazy. If you're crazy, it's going to be difficult. What, is it true or not? Have the problems caused by our Yao Yanzong practice been completely solved? Are you sure you are not temporarily suppressed? This is one of the problems that our Yaoyan sect has been unable to solve for thousands of years. Even the previous suzerains have not been able to do it. How can it be solved? Our skills are amazing, so we can with such a powerful strength, but the price paid is also very huge. How could it be solved so easily? The elders below all had shocked expressions on their faces. They couldn't believe it. After all, this problem had troubled them for thousands of years. Now someone told them that this problem had been solved. They still couldn't believe it. I don't intend to lie to you. If you don't believe me, come up and check it out. The problem with this sect's formation has been completely solved. You can go in and practice to see if there is any toxin produced. Lin Yan with a big wave of his hand, he said very boldly. Really? Let me go over and see if it's true. Fifth Elder Qin Yiwang couldn't calm down anymore. He walked into the formation and began to use the power of heaven and earth to practice, but he didn't find any toxins invading his body during the cultivation process. After the investigation, Fifth Elder Qin Yiwang was so shocked that he couldn't speak. The rest of the elders all asked anxiously. Is this true? Don't just stand here, Elder Qin, just say something. Is this true or not? Really, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, it's really solved, it's really solved. The problem that has plagued my Yao Yanzong for millions of years has finally been completely solved. This toxin has really been completely eliminated, gone. I didn't feel the slightest bit of poison during my cultivation just now. Fifth Elder Qin Yiwang said with a very excited face. He could finally understand why Lin Yan kept giggling when he called them over just now. If it were him, he would probably have burst into a smile at the corner of his mouth. Sovereign, is it really solved? Is it really solved? Ha 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 ha. Our disciples of Yaoyan sect will never be called monsters by others in the future. Several elders below also burst into tears, expressing emotion road. You have to know that when they practice this kind of exercise, they can only kill them on the spot after the control of the urban area becomes 12, which is the purpose of their sect. They also don't want to wave the butcher knife at the disciples of their own sect, but they have no way to turn around after being poisoned into the body and losing their minds and turning into snake monsters. Moreover, the disciples who become snake monsters are completely the one who lost their inspiration was a machine that only knew how to kill, and they had to be wolves next time. If they were allowed to escape by chance, the whole world would be in great trouble, and Yao Yanzong would be labeled as a disgrace because of this. Backquote. Okay, elders, don't be so excited. The problem of our Yaoyan sect has been solved. If you don't believe it, then come and test it yourself. Su Han laughed. Several elders immediately stepped forward after hearing these words, began to meditate on the spot, circulated the power of heaven and earth, and strengthened their actions, but in the process, they still did not find a trace of Yifu's toxin that could penetrate into the body. In his body. This also means that the only shortcoming of this sect's great formation has been completely eliminated, and they don't have to worry about being invaded by toxins in the future. Elder Su, you can be said to be kind to our Yaoyan sect. The problem that the past lords could not solve has been completely solved at this moment. I didn't expect that the old man would be lucky enough to wait until this day. At this moment, those elders were in tears. It's really effective, it's really effective. What has troubled us for many years has been completely solved today. Fifth Elder Qin Yahweh said excitedly. After the excitement, tears flowed down his face. The appearance of old tears made the people around him very convinced, so they followed suit one after another. After a long time, Only the sound of crying came from the Zongmen formation on the top of the mountain. After hearing the crying, the passing disciples all felt very strange. What's going on today? Why are these strange things happening one after another? When I saw the suzerain come out with a smirk on his face, he ignored me when I called him. I thought the suzerain was crazy. One of the disciples looked puzzled, said. Listening to the strange voices coming from the hall, the disciples outside were all confused. Not only the suzerain is crazy, but the elders are also crazy. What happened? Our Yaoyan sect will not fall. The disciples outside were all talking about it, but the elders in the main hall were not in the mood to care so much. They carefully felt their own strange meridians. It has been discovered that all the toxins in their bodies have been dispelled, so they burst into tears. They all came to Su Han in unison and surrounded him. Su Han saw these people surrounded him, which made him feel so dazed. Elder Su, you are my benefactor. I didn't expect that I could wait until this day in my lifetime. I didn't expect that the only defect of the Zongmen's formation was solved. From now on, I can practice hard. That's right, because of the good fortune of seizing the world, I have accumulated a lot of toxins in my body. If I continue to practice, then there is a high probability that I will be corroded by this toxin and become an irrational snake demon, so I have been stuck in this state for many years. It's not because of anything else, it's because I don't dare to practice, so I can only give up. Today is Elder Su. You let me see the light of pursuing the Tao. Elder Su, you are my benefactor. If you say a word, I will die. Those elders were all very excited, and surrounded Su Han with tears in their eyes, expressing their gratitude to him. Okay, it should be. All the disciples we are going to study are also called over. Let them share this joy with us. Let them know that our Yao Yanzong disciples will no longer be looked down upon by others. From now on, I don't have to worry about becoming a younger sister anymore. Fifth Elder Qin Yuang was also dripping with excitement at this time. The grievances Yao Yanzong has suffered over the years can be said to be vivid in his memory, and because of the uncontrollable danger of becoming a snake demon, he was excluded by other sects. But until now, the biggest problem has been solved, which means that they can practice freely, without worrying about becoming a snake demon because of their high cultivation. The overly excited elders came to their senses at this moment, and were about to run down the mountain one after another, calling all the disciples down the mountain to the vicinity of the sect's great formation. Elder Su, let's just wait here, and wait to witness this epic-making moment. Lin Yan pulled Su Han with a very excited tone, and now he was not willing to let go of Su Han's hand at all. To him, Su Han is really a lucky star, helping him solve so many problems, and even helping him break through to the realm of the Earth Supreme. For a moment, I saw those elders leading many disciples to the vicinity of the sect's large formation, and all the disciples were whispering below. Seeing this situation, Su Han was also a little dazed. Finally, when he heard the words "crazy" from some disciples, he also knew why the hall was surrounded by disciples, and the corner of his mouth twitched. For such a result, he felt helpless, and then he looked at Lin Yan behind him. Lin Yan naturally understood. He stood up and looked at the disciples below. He cleared his throat first, and then said, "Quiet." After these two words came out, the addresses below immediately stopped making noise. Seeing such a result, Lin Yan also felt very satisfied. Okay. I originally wanted to gather you together, but I didn't expect so many people to come here, so I just want to announce something to you. Since the founding of our Yaoyan sect, we have cultivated the creation of heaven and earth. Therefore, the strength of our Yao Yanzong disciples is also first class and powerful. But there is no absolute good side in this world, and there is a huge price to be paid for the creation of heaven and earth. So, while practicing, the toxins brought by the power of the sun are constantly eroding our bodies. With the improvement of cultivation, more and more toxins will accumulate in the body, and finally too much toxin in the body will turn us into a snake demon who only knows how to kill. At that time, there is no way to save him, we can only kill him on the spot, and the only way is to temporarily suppress the toxin in the body with the 7th grade green profound pill to prevent it from erupting. But this is nothing more than drinking poison to quench thirst. Speaking of this, Lin Yan showed a look of pain on his face. Over the years, he did not know how many disciples suffered disasters because of this. And because of such a weakness, his Yaoyan sect has also been repeatedly suppressed by other sects, among which Dan Huang Pagoda has done the most excessively. Because they have fully grasped Yaoyanzong's weakness, which made them have to make compromises with Pill Emperor many times. Hearing that the disciples below here are also very sad, this has always been a sharp sword hanging over their heads, but they can't take it away. Because if you want to gain great strength, you must pay a price. Since they have joined the Yaoyan sect and practiced the Yaoyan sect's skills, it is doomed that they will always exist in their bodies, which will make them lose their minds and become the poison of the snake demon. Having said that, Lin Yan in front of him changed the subject, with a joyful smile on his face. My days like today are coming to an end. We will no longer have to suffer from toxins in the future, because we have found a way to completely solve this problem, and we have successfully implemented it and completed it. The first generation suzerain, there is no grand plan to be completed. Lin Yan said with enthusiasm in his eyes. Hearing this, the disciples below immediately exploded, but some disciples also raised doubts. Sect Master, is this true or false? You can't joke about things like this. After all, this thing exists in our bodies. It's been so long, and we haven't found any solution, a disciple said. It's useless to talk too much, Elder Su. Let's use actions to show this guy whether it's true or not, said. Speaking of which, Su Han directly called that disciple up, and then asked him to enter the sect's great formation to practice in front of all the disciples. In the tense eyes of everyone, the disciple suddenly shrank his pupils. He felt the power of the sun's flames walking between his 7 meridians and 8 meridians. What shocked him was the power of the sun's flames. It was so pure. There is no trace of toxin mixed in the power of this sun's flame. Really, this turned out to be true. My Yao Yanzong's problems for millions of years have finally been completely solved. I don't have to worry about becoming a snake demon anymore. 2 streams of clear tears rolled down that disciple's face. At this moment, he was extremely excited, and the remaining disciples all went up and began to operate their dantians, absorbing the power of heaven and earth to practice. The results they got were all the same, and the problems in the sect's formation were completely solved. Some of the disciples in the Yaoyang sect were crying, some were laughing, they were very excited. After all, the problem that had troubled them for thousands of years was solved so easily at this moment. How could they not be excited? And this made all the other disciples who happened to pass by Yao Yanzong very confused. Because they saw a burst of crying and laughter coming from the Yaoyan sect along the way, these 2 sounds alternated continuously. What's going on here? Why are the Yao Yanzong people crazy? Why are they crying and laughing at the same time, and it's so loud? The people here must not be crazy, right? I don't know what happened. Their suzerain heard that they had broken through to the Earth's supreme realm last time, but this is their suzerain's business, and it has nothing to do with them. It won't make them crazy, right? Let it go. After you let it go, you should stay away from the people of Yaoyan sect, lest you be assimilated by them and become a crazy person. After saying this sentence, the disciples passing Yao Yanzong immediately turned their heads and walked away. Ha 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 ha. What the old man said. The old man said it, you will be shocked. Look at the appearance of these disciples below. My Yaoyan sect will become stronger and stronger from now on. Lin Yan laughed Road. At this moment, Su Han also felt very helpless. Looking at the disciples below who were mixed with sorrow and joy, he stood aside at this moment and felt out of place. After all, he is just a newcomer here, and he can't understand the excitement of those disciples and the suzerain, but it is understandable for him to think about it. After all, this problem that has plagued Yao Yanzong for thousands of years, it can be said that it is the heart disease of the suzerain of all dynasties. After all, no suzerain is willing to see people who go out of their own sect being hostile by others, but this can't be blamed on others. After all, this is how my own cultivation method is. If you are not careful, you will become a snake demon, and then you will be enemies. Now that things have happened, I, Yao Yanzong, will not be insulted by anyone from now on. Lin Yan said with a firm look in his eyes, and he clenched his fists and made an oath to the sky. The disciples below also echoed, and the bursts of voices went straight into the sky. It didn't take long for the news to spread, and now all the sects have received strange information from Yao Yanzong. What's the situation? What happened to the people of Yaoyan sect? Han Shuan, the city in the Glacier Valley, looked at the elder who gave him a message with a puzzled look on his face. I don't know. I just learned from those disciples who passed by Yao Yanzong that there was a very strange sound in Yao Yanzong, and the disciples there were crying and laughing for a while, as if they were crazy. The elder below was also confused at this moment. But with so many disciples listening to this voice, there is nothing wrong with it. It shouldn't be. Although the old guy has a bit of a temper, he has always been mature and stable. Such a situation shouldn't happen. If so many disciples go crazy together, he should take care of it. Fang Hanja touched his jaw sank in thought. This is not the most outrageous thing. The most outrageous thing is that those disciples even heard strange roars coming from Yao Yanzong, as if they were swearing something. The elder below said, Speaking of this, he also felt a little confused. Those disciples assured him that they never added any embellishments. If it was just one person, he might have doubts, but all the disciples he sent out told him this way when they came back. This made him doubt the authenticity of this matter. Master Gu, do you think those guys are really crazy, and maybe they are also crazy with their suzerain? Then your elder said cautiously at this time. I don't know, that old ghost wouldn't be able to do it, right? Didn't he just break through to the Earth's supreme realm? Although I'm very happy to break through to the Earth's supreme realm, but I don't want to lead my disciples from the East Gate to go crazy like this. Fang Hangson at this time, I don't understand very much. Forget it. Anyway, half a month later it will be time for the Zongmen Grand Competition. Originally, the place for the Zongmen Grand Competition was set at the Pill Emperor Pagoda, but now the Danwang Pagoda has been completely destroyed. Then this time, it's just a matter of pulling the old guy out to have a good discussion, and by the way, to test the situation and see what's wrong with the old guy, Fang Hanshi said. Although this incident made him very puzzled at the moment, maybe it was because Lin Yan found something more important, so this situation happened. Spy on it. In this way, the reason can also be found. Although their form and style are relatively close to each other over the years, the strong often cherish each other. If that old guy Lin Yan is really crazy, he will still feel it is a pity. After all, this old guy has always been very proud. If I saw his crazy appearance, I would feel very sorry to lose such an old opponent for many years. All the disciples and elders of the Yaoyan sect went crazy for a while, and this matter spread throughout the Tianquan region in an instant, making the entire Tinlong region confused. After all, this matter seems a bit outrageous, but those disciples who went out to practice said it themselves. And what they saw and heard was the same, which also made them doubt whether this matter was true. After these few days, the turmoil of this matter has completely calmed down, at least among Yao Yanzong. And Lin Yan called Su Han into the main hall of this sect. After calling Su Han over, he showed a satisfied look on his face. Su Xiaoyu, calling you over this time is really bothersome, but this time, there is a very big matter that I want you to participate in together, Lin Yan said. Oh. Sovereign. What is it? Actually, this matter is important, but it may not be very important to you. This matter is that the sects will be held in a few days. The big competition is that the disciples of each sect compete with each other to decide the 10 strongest people, and then, let them go to Tianquan realm, the top of the snow mountain, in the burial ancient god realm, to practice, Lin Yan said. After hearing these words, Su Han also has some experience at this time. If he can go to the scene of the Zongmen Grand Competition this time, maybe he can meet a few good seedlings and invest in them. This is for him, it is also of great help. After the 10 strongest people are determined, several elders are needed to lead the team. Each sect has an elder. Originally, it was Elder Qin who led the team over the years. However, he is also getting older. Sometimes the elders call you to lead the team, so it shouldn't bother you, right? Lin Yan said. After all, Su Han is the lucky star of their sect now, so he still needs to ask Su Han's opinion on this matter. If Su Han is not willing, he can't force it. That's natural, but where is the venue for this martial arts competition? Su Han asked. It was originally planned to be in the Pill Emperor Tower, but after the last incident, the Pill Emperor Tower has already been razed to the ground, so those old guys plan to come and discuss it with me today. Lin Yan said helplessly. Old Ghost Lin. Why are people already here and still staying here? Aren't you going to welcome the guests? A very familiar voice sounded, and Su Han turned his head to look at this time, and found that it was the Ice River Valley. Gu Shengfang is cold and thick. Fang Hangson, the owner of the ice-cold valley, still had a very cold expression on his face, just like the sect he was in, with a cold face. I didn't invite you to come here. Besides, you are the ones who want to come here to discuss with me. Lin Yan's expression became even more sour when he saw Fang Hangson coming over. Hee, you old ghost is still the same as before. You have no manners at all. Is this how you Yao Yanzong treats guests? Fang Hangson curled his lips, showing a contemptuous look on his face. By the way, I won't tell you this anymore. Last time I heard from my sect's disciples that you Yaoyan sect seem to have lost their minds. Is this true or not? Fang Hangson rubbed his chin with his face. There was a look of watching the excitement on his face, and he said. Who is spreading rumors here? Who said that the disciples of our sect are all banned? You old guy, don't talk nonsense. After Lin Yan heard this sentence, his temper suddenly flared up again, and he immediately rolled up his sleeves and was about to go up to give Fang Han looks good. Isn't this guy here to embarrass himself? He also said that the disciples of his sect are crazy, How could such a thing happen? After hearing this sentence, Su Han also immediately thought of why Fang Han would talk about this matter as soon as he came in. Those disciples who dared to cry and laughed for a while, and the sound of excited swearing was completely silenced by those outside, and the disciples heard it. It is estimated that it has been spread outside by now, and they talk about the fact that the disciples of Zongzong have lost their minds and gone crazy. Just put it here and let me pretend. You old guy is really dishonest. If something happens, something will happen. You, the suzerain, don't want to think about it, but I have heard my disciples say, when they passed by your Yaoyan sect, they heard the disciples of your Yaoyan sect cry and laugh for a while, and they didn't even know what they were roaring. Such a big thing has already happened, and you, the suzerain, still sit here and do nothing. Aren't you afraid that all the disciples in your sect will be banned? Go and check carefully. Could it be that some people from the cult have infiltrated into your east gate and bewitched your disciples? If there are any, it's too late to find them out now. Fang Hangsen's tone became very rare at this time serious, and after hearing this sentence, the corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. It's over, this embarrassment will be thrown outside, Lin Yan said inwardly. He also knew that he was really too excited yesterday, and even the elders and disciples who followed him were the same. They cried and laughed from time to time, and even snot and burst into tears, following him to swear an oath. It's no wonder that the disciples passing by outside, after hearing this sound, might think that the people of Yao Yanzong are crazy. Okay. You old guy, shut up, you don't have to worry about these things, Lin Yan said. What you said, I did it for your own good, in case there are some heretics in your sect. It will be too late for you to bring those addresses back when they completely infiltrate your Yaoyan sect. Fang Hangsen in front of him said with a serious expression on his face. I'm sorry, there's really no need for that. Those disciples can cry when they want, and laugh when they want. Let them go. After all, something good has happened. It's normal to get excited. Lin Yan felt very helpless. He immediately said this sentence. When he said this, his whole waist was already straight. Oh, good thing. What good thing? Let's hear it. Fang Hangsen also had a puzzled look on his face at this time, and he asked hastily. What good thing can there be? It's just that the side effects of the sect's formation were easily solved. You also know that the suzerain has always made wise decisions. The problem of this sect's formation was finally resolved under my unremitting efforts. Solve it. From now on we will steal the power of heaven and earth, and practice will never have any poison. Naturally, I won't worry about becoming a snake demon. From now on, my disciples of Yao Yanzong will no longer be the fake demons that you guys say. Lin Yan's expression suddenly became very arrogant. At this moment, he raised his head straight and pointed his nostrils at Fangzhou County in front of him. At this time, he felt very elated. After all, this sect's grand formation had troubled Yao Yanzong for an unknown period of time, until today it was completely resolved during his tenure as suzerain. The sense of accomplishment came spontaneously at this time, and seeing the famous words with a proud expression and a very proud tone in front of him, after saying this sentence, Fang Hangsen in front of him had an expression of disbelief. You guys are joking with me, please, you have to have a sense of humor. The look on Fang Han's face was very disdainful. Hee. Believe it or not, I don't have the need to brag with you here. Lin Yan became even more arrogant at this time. Old ghost Lin, are you kidding me? It's not bedtime yet. You have to know that there hasn't been any solution to this sect's grand formation since your Yao Yanzong set it up. I don't know how many seniors have visited it in the past year, but none of them can come up with a solution. Just you. A reckless man who only knows how to practice. Do you have the brains to do it? Fang Hangsen said disdainfully. He really didn't believe that Lin Yan didn't have the ability to solve the problems that had plagued their sect for millions of years. Even if it is solved, it is definitely not Lin Yan's credit. Lin Yan, a reckless man who can only do things, cannot have this ability, and he still knows this. Hee. You people are all short-sighted. How can it be impossible to solve it? You have been trapped at the bottom of the well for too long and have not seen the real power in this world, Lin Yan said. Looking at Lin Yan's confident but proud tone, Fang Hangsen also showed doubts at this time, and asked, is this true or false? This matter is not a joke, this matter is a very important matter in 2006. Who is joking with you? If you don't believe me, you can go and see for yourself, and you will know if you go inside and test it yourself, Lin Yan said. Speaking of this, his smile has cracked to the corner of his mouth, and he can imagine the expression of Fang Hangsen in front of him when he went to their sect's great formation, mobilized the power of heaven and earth, and insisted on his body. Just go. I want to see what the hell you are doing. Fang Hangson snorted coldly. In just that instant, he had already disappeared in the main hall of the sect, and arrived at the important formation of the sect. In the big formation he stepped into, the world began to operate, and the power of the sun began to gather and bless his body. Although their skills conflicted, he was extremely powerful, and it was not difficult to push the formation. Letting those powers wander between my 8 meridians can't do me any harm. Until he felt this force flowing through his meridians, but didn't find any abnormalities. At this moment, a shocked look appeared on his face, and he immediately returned to the main hall of Yaoyan sect. Looking at Fang Hangson in front of him, seeing his shocked expression, Lin Yan felt secretly refreshed at this moment. You old guy keeps a straight face every day, so you still have a straight face. How about now? I'm so shocked that I can't speak. Ha 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 ha. Seeing your shocked look, but it really makes me happy. Lin Dan was very happy. How did this guy do it? You must know that this big town of the sect has been a problem that no one has been able to solve over the years. Many political and legal experts, and even old monsters from various sects have visited it, and even worked together to solve the problem. It is impossible to completely clean up the toxin mixed with the power of the sun's flames in this formation. The only way to suppress that toxin is to rely on pills to suppress it, but this will also make your Yaoyan sect weak. Fang Hangson asked in a very shocked tone. He still can't believe it until now. How could this guy solve the biggest problem of their sect quietly? If it is said that breaking through to the Supreme is enough to make that old guy happy, then I am afraid that solving the problem of the sect's great formation is enough to make this old guy go into the coffin with a smile. Hee hee. If you can't do it, it doesn't mean we can't do it. After all, you old guy is still short-sighted. This world is bigger than we imagined. Lin Yan deliberately kept it a secret, but didn't tell him the answer. Brother Su, I think you must know a thing or two. Why don't you tell the old man what's going on? I know how much this old guy weighs. He definitely doesn't have that kind of ability. I think you must know the inside story. Fang Hangson looked at Lin Yan's stinking appearance, and didn't want to pay attention to him anymore. He directly looked at Su Han next to him. I want to know some news from him. Ha 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 ha, you old guy, you can also show such an expression. I thought you had a straight face all the time, with this stinky face every day, as if someone owed you money. If so, then the old man won't play tricks on you here anymore. This sect formation problem was solved by Su Xiaoyu. Lin Yan said proudly with a straight waist. What? How is this possible? Su Xiaoyu is not only good at alchemy, but also has a strong talent. Is he even so proficient in formation? Fang Hangson in front of him became even more shocked at this time. How could there be a person in this world who can specialize in it at the same time? 3 forces. You know, alchemist and formation master, these 2 professions require a lot of energy to cultivate, and even Su Han has to improve his own strength. These 3 prongs. How can someone do it so easily? What's more, the person who set up this formation back then had the ability to reach the sky. That was the first suzerain of Yaoyan sect, and his formation can be said to be superb. This is really unexpected to me. I thought that the one who solved the problem of your sect's great formation was a great power from outside the domain, but I didn't expect that I was short-sighted. Sure enough, a hero is born as a boy. Su Xiaoyu is so young, and he has such a powerful personality. The ability really amazes me, Fang Hangson said. At this time, he was really convinced. He originally thought that Su Han had a good talent, and he could even refine a 9th grade elixir at a young age. If you don't lose, you can only say that you were astonished. The first princess in that investigation back then was not only powerful, but he was even a saint grade formation master. It can be said that his combat ability is extremely strong, even extremely difficult, which is why the Yaoyan sect at that time was able to name the entire Tianquan domain. But even such a powerful person has something that he can't do, that is, although he has laid out the formation that can seize the good fortune of the world, of course he has overlooked one point: the good fortune of seizing the earth always needs to pay costly. The price is that those disciples who are cultivating in the sect's great formation, the higher their cultivation level, the more toxins they will accumulate in their bodies. When the toxins reach a certain level, they will inevitably explode completely. Let them lose their minds and turn into snake demon lunatics who only know killing. The suzerain naturally knew this, so he spent his whole life looking for a solution to this problem, but what disappointed him was that the formation method had no solution, which also made him die of depression after that. Because he knew that it was impossible to reverse such a powerful formation. When he got that formation, he was also very happy, so he immediately arranged it in the sect. After he finished the arrangement, he was even more shocked by this formation. This formation can be said to be powerful. However, this formation is not only powerful, but also very profound. He has studied it all his life, but he has not found a solution. This has made Yaozong unable to get rid of the label of snake demon for millions of years. It is that such a profound formation has been completely solved at this moment, and such a big problem has been solved in just a few days. This shocked Fang Hangsen in front of him. Lin Yan also said at this time, "Don't be so surprised, our Su Xiaoyu is so powerful. After all, his strength is beyond your guess. Su Xiaoyu is really the lucky star of my sect, ha 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 ha." Lin Yan showed a hearty smile at this moment. He had never been so beautiful like today. Seeing the shocked expression on his old friend's face at this moment, his whole body was looking at Fang Han with his nostrils, head looking at the sky. Interesting, Su Xiaoyu is really powerful. He can achieve the ultimate in these 3 fields at such a young age. Su Xiaoyu can come to my Binhe Valley to sit. Although my Binhe Valley is located in the extreme north, there are many good things Xiaoyu. If you are willing to come, the old man will definitely treat you well, Fang Hangsen said. His words are full of temptation. As long as Su Han can come, he has 10,000 ways to make Su Han stay there. Although the location of his glacier valley is very steep, the more dangerous it is, the more things are bred. Hey, you old guy. What do you mean? You didn't take me seriously when you dug someone in front of me, didn't you? Backquote. Lin Yan felt very upset at this moment. This old guy, he automatically ignored himself, and the dejected and shocked look just now completely disappeared. His eyes were full of shrewdness, and he wanted to poach his people away in front of his face. Hee. What do you mean, old guy? I just asked the deputy elder to come over and have a look at me when he has time. Isn't that all right? Fang Hangsen said. Next time, this junior will definitely go to Glacier Valley to pay a good visit to senior. Su Han watched the 2 people jostling and making noise like children, and a helpless smile appeared on Su Sai's face. Okay. I won't mess around here with you, old guy. This time I came here to understand this issue, and there is another important thing, that is, the Zongmen Grand Competition in the near future. It was originally decided to be in the Danwang Pagoda. But those guys in the Pill Emperor Pagoda are all dead, so how about putting the site of this sect Grand Competition in your Yaoyan sect? Fang Hangsen said. I don't have any problems. However, I may tell you that the elders sent to lead the team this year are our 4th elders. I hope that the elders on your side will understand the general situation and don't make any moves in this secret realm. But I know the old man's temper is not very good, Lin Yan said with a threatening look in his eyes. It's good to let Su Han lead the team, but he doesn't want Su Han to have any problems in it. If Su Han has any problems in it, then he will be a sinner. Okay, I got it. You old guy still has a bit of conscience. If you don't worry about Su Xiaoyu's comfort, then I have to dig him over in front of you. After all, having someone like Su Xiaoyu with you is simply suffering, Fang Hangsen said. At this moment, another voice came from outside. It was the ancestor of Yu Jiaozong. As soon as he entered the door, he shouted, Old Ghost Lin heard that your Yaoyan sect has a problem, and my disciples said that you were going to be serious. People seem to be crazy, crying and laughing at the same time. What the hell is going on? After hearing this sentence, the corners of Fang Hangsen's mouth twitched, and even Su Han covered his face with his hands, feeling very helpless. After a period of discussion, the ancestors of those sects have reached a consensus at this moment, that is, the location of this sect's grand competition, and they have already walked among Yaozong. However, the ancestors of those sects were very shocked by the fact that the shortcomings of the Yaoyan sect's formation had been completely filled. After all, they had heard of this problem. This problem had troubled Yao Yanzong for millions of years, but it was solved today, and the person who solved it was Su Hanfan. The rest are things for later. At this time, the ancestor of the great Luo sword sect next to him became very serious, and said, However, I want to tell you that recently, the ancient gods have not been peaceful. Hearing this sentence, the faces of the ancestors next to him changed drastically. What's going on here? If it's so unexpected, then arrange for the disciples to go to it to practice. This matter, do we still need to discuss it carefully? The ancestor in the colored glaze said at this moment. I don't know either. There has been a lot of turmoil inside recently. I can feel a pressure coming from inside from the outside. There may be something about to be born here. Maybe it is a chance, or it may be a crisis. Everyone knows maybe. The ancestor of Da Luo Jianzong said in a very solemn tone. Then what should we do? Should we arrange for them to go? The ancestor in the armor asked weakly. Go. Hasn't heard anything that can make me feel afraid. This time may be a crisis for those little guys, But don't forget that we also have ways to save our lives. As long as they crush the teleportation talisman and they will come out safe and sound. As long as they don't die, it's fine. Besides, let them have a good taste of the pain. You can't grow into an eagle just by staying under the wings. The ancestor of Da Luo's sword sect said. It is not unreasonable to say that it is indeed time to hone them. In this way, it may be a great opportunity to let them in this time. If this is the case, then it is finalized. Bring a team of elders, you can decide on your own, but let me say something, if I hear that Su Xiaoyu has something wrong with you, then the old man will not care about the relationship with you. Lin Yan sneered. Hee, old guy, you are still a bit human, don't worry, now Su Xiaoyu can be said to be completely the object of worship of those disciples. They have always heard that Su Xiaoyu is good at helping others, and he is also very concerned about some ordinary disciples, so I won't do anything out of the ordinary. The old woman of Liulizong said lightly. Since that's the case, let's finalize this matter like this. Everyone, go back and make preparations. Lin Yan said. What a picky guy. I can't wait to drive us away now. Is it because I'm afraid that we will poach your treasures away, isn't it? Fang Hangson said, taking a deep look at Lin Yan in front of him. The expression on his face became even more contemptuous. He knew very well that a guy like Lin Yan had a personality of hob meat. I don't have any tea here to entertain you. You have to leave now, just leave now. A smile appeared on Lin Yan's old face. Well, even though that's what he said, those old guys were not angry, and they also knew that Lin Yan was joking. After everyone left, Lin Yan in front of him grabbed Su Han. He took out a red token from his sleeve, and said to Su Han very solemnly, Xiaoyu Su, keep this brand well. This token has a huge effect. If the time comes if you are in danger, then crush this token, and I will be able to come directly to where you are. Although it's not the real body coming, it's just my phantom, but it should be enough to help you solve some problems. If you encounter something too powerful, it can also help you resist for a while. Remember, if you encounter any powerful monsters inside, you must protect yourself well, crush the jade talisman and send it out in time. Regarding Lin Yan's order, Su Han also nodded. After all, Lin Yan was so cautious, and he must be thinking about his own safety. It can be said that the other party completely put himself in his heart. Su Han also felt an unprecedented warmth, but at this moment he asked, what is this burial ancient god realm? I don't know about this, I just know that he has been here since the birth of Tianquan domain, but you need to be careful, there may be some people from other domains here, after all, this great thousand world doesn't know there are so many small worlds, and it is quite normal for some people from other domains to come to this secret realm to find opportunities, Lin Yan said. Obviously, every world has its own channels and methods to enter, so they naturally have their own ways to get out of it. Don't try to show off in it. Besides, it seems to be very unstable in the near future, so you must be careful when you go in, but risks come with opportunities, so you must do things with confidence, Lin Yan said. After hearing this sentence, Su Han also nodded. This may be a great opportunity for him. In the next few days, he may be able to find some valuable investment targets, or he may be able to find some valuable investment targets in the future. Some geniuses from other places can be found in God's domain. Okay, that's the end of the story. After today's Eastgate Dobby is over, you can take a team to explore opportunities in the semi-ancient God realm, Lin Yan said. The solemn expression on his face was finally swept away, replaced by a very proud. After all, he slapped those old guys in the face severely today, but he has already seen the shocked expressions on those old guys' faces, and he is extremely satisfied at this moment. Lin Yan finally left the main hall of this sect, and only when he reached his own invincibility did he start to meditate. Buying the ancient god realm. It's really interesting. Maybe I can meet some interesting things there. Before that, I'll go and see if there are any other Chinese that I can think of investing in, Su Han said heartily. After all, improving strength is the most important thing now. Although he has the supreme realm now, it is still far from enough for him. There are so many powerful people in this world, and the people of the heavenly clan alone are already overwhelming him. A stone in my heart. In the future, he will definitely go to see how capable this day clansman is. A few days later, this sect's grand competition was also officially held in Yaoyan sect. After all the elders of the sects arrived, the Zongmen grand competition also began to be officially held at this moment. The disciples of various sects, all of them are on the verge of breaking out, gearing up to make a name for themselves in this sect competition. It's really lively. It seems that the sect's big pens have been like this over the years. Su Han looked at the situation below, with a slightly shocked expression on his face. That's natural. If the sect doesn't make a big deal for them to compete with each other, I'm afraid these disciples may lose their pursuit of martial arts, so proper competition may be able to better stimulate their desire for cultivation. Passionate. Lin Yan said. This is natural, and this also gives them a chance to prove themselves. Where there is a will, there is a way. Maybe some people don't know how much effort they have spent in the dark, just to show their own in this sect competition. The fangs make you famous. The ancestor of Da Luo sword sect also said. Okay. Let's stop gossip and watch the performances of those little guys. However, the disciples who have appeared in the past few years are quite interesting. There are a few good seedlings below, and their strength is still good. But the most shocking thing is that you were serious at the beginning. Sure enough, you reckless people who only know how to practice, bringing a great ride above the cultivation, said the ancestor of Yushenzong. There is no way to do this. After all, the Yaoyan sect steals the power of heaven and earth, and it is natural to be strong in cultivation. However, those who are strong in the past have to pay a price, but after the arrival of Su Han, all of this it's all solved. This also means that those places can unscrupulously introduce the power of heaven and earth into the dazzling Zongmen formation to practice. Those little fellows in your Yaoyan sect really caught my eye. Da Luo Jianzong's patriarch pointed at Chu Tianrui, Chu Yehua and Liang Yeshui. You old guy has really vicious eyes, and you've already spotted some of the more powerful geniuses in our sect. Lin Yan said. It's the first time I've seen this little girl, and I haven't seen him in the last Zongmen Grand competition. Why did this little girl suddenly appear this time? Speaking of which, this little girl is also somewhat related to Elder Su. Without Elder Su, I'm afraid he would not have achieved what he is today. Lin Yan said with a long sigh. The ancestors of the nearby sects also understood at this time. It is estimated that this little girl had a difficult fate. She happened to meet Su Han and got enlightened by Su Han. Achievement. Ha 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 ha. From this point of view, your Yaoyan sect is going to come out on top today. The old woman from the glazed tile sect said with a faint smile on her face. No, 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 I dare not say that. There are so many heroes in the world who have completed their scriptures. These little dolls are just talented. Presumably, some sects should have good backs. Lin Yan waving his hand, Tian Fen said modestly. Seeing such modest words, the ancestors of those sects were not used to it at this time. You can pull it down, you bastard. You bastard is so good that you are cheap. Who doesn't know that you want to study those boys, and now your strength is improving by leaps and bounds. I don't know what happened to those little guys. Ever since Lin Yan came to your sect, these little guys have also been pumped with chicken blood, and their cultivation bases have improved rapidly one by one. Fang Han said. Fu bluntly exposed his true face directly. He and Lin Yan have known each other for so long, and he can be said to be very clear about the other party's virtues. Although this guy is so humble on the surface, I am afraid that he is already laughing in his heart. Ever since Su Han came to his sect, he has broken through to the Earth Supreme for advancement. The problem of the sect's formation has been solved, and even the strength of the disciples under his sect has improved by leaps and bounds. This guy probably wakes up laughing at night when he sleeps. Thinking of Fang Hangsen in front of here, he also gritted his teeth. Why didn't he have such luck? Why couldn't he attract lucky stars like Su Han? He was also very angry, but at the same time, he also had a little respect for Su Han. Faced with so many temptations, he was unmoved, and it was the most difficult time in Yaoyanzong. Although Danwang Pagoda has lures, threats accounted for most of them, but their other two sects can be said to have given enough sincerity to recruit him, and Su Han can still be so immovable. This annoyed them but also admired them a lot. Next to him, Fang Hangsen looked like the ancestor of the great Luo sword sect at this time, and said, however, I have heard some terrible rumors recently. Oh, what rumor? Do you want to hear it? Lin Yan also became interested at this time. I heard that from your Deluo sword sect, you have a great younger generation, and you have been recognized by the sword in your sword fair, even though that sword is only half left now. But the owner of this sword back then, I am afraid everyone here knows it well, Fang Han said. After hearing this sentence, the pupils of the ancestors of the sects next to them all shrank. Really? Has anyone really obtained the approval of that sword? Lin Yan spoke first. This shocked him very much. It is estimated that the younger generations may have never heard of that person, but in their era, that person was as powerful as thunder. The news is really fast, you guys. I can't hide it from you, but there is this little guy who came from the lower realm. At first, his swordsmanship was barely passable, but the old man found some differences in him. The usual feature is that his eyes are very sharp, so sharp that they can tear everything apart. It was the sharp eyes that made me accept it, but I didn't expect that little girl to be able to find Jianxuan and get the approval of that sword. The ancestor of the great Luo sword sect smiled happily at this time. When talking about the proud son of their sect, he was finally elated at this time, and finally he didn't have to stand here and watch Lin Yan give advice. You guys really don't mean much, you have such a genius who hides it, I didn't expect it, it's so King deep, since you can get the approval of that sword. At the same time, in the martial arts arena, those 3 people from Yao Yanzong were invincible, and it could be said that no one could stop them along the way. Anyone who came up to challenge was bombed down by them, but there was a more ferocious guy beside him. That guy was holding a broken sword, and he was able to make one against one on this or that platform. His eyes were extremely cold. There wasn't even a single extra word, as if he felt a little bored. He looked at the monks standing below watching the battle, and then pointed the broken sword in his hand at them. There's no need to waste any more time. Let's go together. I have other things to do after the fight. This sentence directly stunned all the players who participated in this sect competition. It was the first time they saw such an arrogant person, so presumptuous in front of thousands of people, and even bluntly asked them to go up together. Hey, the person I met this time is quite interesting. Where did this guy come from? Why haven't I seen him before? His hand is really fierce. I still hold a broken sword in my hand. Does this broken sword have any special meaning? Chu Tianrui rubbed his chin at this time, looking at the man who was killing all directions. And watching this, Su Han from above also noticed that there was a person below who was so fierce, facing hundreds of monks with one sword, he was able to stand tall and even defeat them all. As his last sword chi slashed down, seeing all the monks in front of him collapsed to the ground, the expression on his face was still calm, and it could even be said to be extremely cold. It's over, you are too weak, then I will take this seat. Does anyone have any different opinions? The deafening voice in front of him came out, but no one below dared to show a look of resentment. They were all conquered by the person in front of them. Who would dare to refuse to accept that such a terrifying guy could fight against 100 in this arena? They knew whether they could do it themselves. Su Han looked at Mo Yu, who was vigorous and beating everyone in silence below, touched his chin, with a satisfied smile on his face, and said, "This guy, it's not bad." Ah, when she was in the lower realm, she seemed to be from Hidden Sword Villa. I didn't expect her to come here, and she also joined the Great Luo Sword Sect. Moreover, the broken sword in his hand is not ordinary. It seems that he is here. A lot of power has grown in Da Luo Jianzong. Hey, this little girl is really fierce. Just now I saw that he was going to declare one against 100, and I thought he was inflated. I didn't expect this guy to have such strength. Lin Yan also said at this time, very shocked. Although his disciples are also not too much, but still not as strong as the visual impact brought by this guy. Ha 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 ha, small achievements, small achievements. The main reason is that the little guy strives for his own strength. Besides, there should be better talented children among the other sects. The ancestor of Da Luo sword sect said in a very humble tone at this time said. He still has some understanding of Mo Yu in front of him. When he was in the lower realm, he should have been a well-deserved genius child in Hidden Sword Villa, but he didn't expect that he had come to this place now. It seems that he also got the great opportunity of, then let's take a look at what's going on with him now. Su Han's open front panel instantly appeared in front of Wei Yan. Name. Mo Yu, cultivation level, broken 5th level. Airluck. Dark purple, mixed with a little black. Recent encounter. After that, in the burial ancient god realm, I got the inheritance of the ancient sword fairy, accepted the inheritance, and encountered a sneak attack by a traitor on the way to break through the cultivation of swordsmanship, and fell down. Looking at this panel, Su Han also fell into silence. His luck was slowly being swallowed up by the blackness. It seemed that Mo Yu in front of him had suffered a lot. He finally found the inheritance of the ancient sword fairy, but was attacked by someone at the moment when he accepted the inheritance and improved his swordsmanship. At this time, even if he wanted to fight back, he had no other way. After challenging those people, he left on his own, because he felt that it was completely meaningless to waste time here. He looked at the broken sword in his hand and fell into deep thought. This broken sword contains a very powerful inheritance. When he was guided to go to the sword void to take this broken sword, a figure suddenly appeared in his mind. It can cut everything in front of it with just one sword, and even this small world seems to be unable to withstand his sword. After getting this broken sword, his cultivation base has also improved by leaps and bounds, even seeing that his cultivation base has improved a lot. So much so that he was able to quickly stand out among the Great Luo sword sect, and even enter the site of the ancestors of the Great Luo sword sect. In addition to his own cultivation, the broken sword in his hand accounted for a large factor. This little girl is full of personality. It seems that he thinks it's pointless to waste his energy on the martial arts competition. Fang Hangson touched his chin and said, "Hee. What he said is right. A monk from my Great Luo sword sect should have the aura of looking down on the world, and no one can stop him standing there." The ancestor of the Great Luo sword sect touched beard, with a satisfied look on his face. Although the behavior of Moyu in front of him is a bit rampant, but so what? He has absolutely overwhelming strength. With one enemy against 100, all the disciples below are afraid to speak, and even angry. Why can't he be rampant? In this way, the first seat has been decided, and you really are the people of the Great Luo sword sect who are hiding deeply. Such a genius has not been announced until now. You old guy really has a lot of eyes. The old woman of the Liuli sect, he stared at the ancestor in the big Luo sword in front of him, and said, "Isn't it the same for several of you? I'm afraid you guys are hiding very deeply. After all, who doesn't have a few geniuses under his command? You are the most enviable person, old ghost Lin." Da Luo Jianzong the ancestor said and cast an envious look at Lin Yan who was facing him. "Lin Yan, there are many geniuses in the sect. 3 of them are revealed, and there is even a genius elder, Su Han, who can do everything in formation, alchemy, and cultivation. To the extreme, such a person actually went to work under his hands, which really made people feel extremely unbalanced. The next few of you should also stand out, but how is that little guy in your sect doing recently?" The ancestor of Yujiazong said to Fang Hangson. As soon as these words were uttered, Fang Hangson, the owner of the Glacier Valley, fell into silence at the moment. This little guy can't get out now. This matter is our mistake, and it has also implicated 2 geniuses in your sect. These 2 are now dead and disabled. It's my fault. Teach this little guy, let him be supercilious and arrogant at that time. That's why this tragedy happened. Fang Han's wife showed a sad look on her face. Oh, what happened exactly? Su Han's interest at this time, listening to their words, seemed to be related to a disciple. This guy, forget it, don't worry about it. This guy is probably still living in regret. He used to have a wonderful talent, but now he has fallen. Speaking of this, Fang Hangson only felt infinite regret. Su Han, he also heard a little sadness from his mouth. There is no need to mention this matter again. The ancestor of Yujiazong sighed. Okay. Let's keep watching and see which little guys can come out from behind. Fang Hangson, the owner of Glacier Valley, was also focusing on the ring at this time. After all, what they will participate in next can be said to be a feast in Tianquan domain. There are extremely strong restrictions in the ancient god realm, and the strength of the few of them can only send one person in. Even if other people send it in, they can't guarantee that those people will come out. The jade talismans in the hands of those people can be said to have cost them a lot of energy to make, and there are no more. Moreover, in this ancient god realm, not only their geniuses from Tianquan realm, but also geniuses from other small worlds competed with them. At this time, Su Han felt that it was time to go down and look for some suitable investment targets, but that Moyu, don't worry, because the most suitable time to invest is in the Tibetan ancient god realm, when Moyu accepts the inheritance, and now I have to go down and look for it to see if there are any objects worth investing in. He was very interested in the person that Fang Hangson said just now. Hearing what Hangson said, he seemed to be astonishingly talented at the time, but until now he has disappeared from everyone. Maybe this is an excellent investment opportunity, so he has to wait and see now. At this time, Su Han said to Lin Yan who was beside him, "Several elders, I'll go down and watch for a while." As he said that, he had already left the place. After all, it was going down to find some good seedlings that could be invested. Such a grand event just gave him an opportunity. Now he can not only invest in people from his own sect, but also give advice to people from other sects. As he spoke, he immediately came to the place where the crowd gathered, but he was behind at this moment. At this moment, he saw a desolate figure, only saw him wearing a blue robe, and a look of despair flashed in his eyes. Looking at his clothes, he should be a disciple of Glacier Valley, but his eyes are full of blankness at this moment. He even watched him with his own heavenly eyes, and he was a little surprised to see the number of panels. Name: Li Wuxiang, Strength, Breaking the Void First Level. Luck: the reincarnation of the true monarch Wanhan. Recent encounter: this is one of the best geniuses in the sect, but during an experience, because of his pride and complacency, he asked him to take his companions to the withered forest to find treasures, But during this process, he met a big Yao. So far, of the 5 people who have gone, 2 died and 2 were seriously injured. These 4 paid a huge price. Li Wuxiang, who was saved, lived in depression after that, and for the other 2 injured companions, and can only secretly go to visit. Solution. Refining the 9th grade elixir. Tinli and Hao Hua pill, help him heal the injuries of the other 2 companions, so that he can break the knot. Seeing this, he finally understood why the kid in front of him had such a dazed look in his eyes. Co-author was also a proud son of heaven before this, but because he was too confident in his own strength, this supercilious self-confidence made him take his companions to the withered forest to find treasures, but encountered a big monster on the way. Of his 4 companions, 2 paid the price with their lives, and the other 2 brought him out of the withered forest safely with serious injuries. After going out, he also felt extremely guilty, and he even felt ashamed to face the other 2 companions who came out injured. He was even more sorry for those 2 who left his life in them because of his wrong decision. Seeing this, Su Han also covered his face helplessly and said, "It seems that everyone is supercilious when they are young, and they will make mistakes after all." Said that Su Han came to Li Wuxiang's side. He looked at Li Wuxiang. Li Wuxiang also looked at him. Li Wuxiang didn't know why the eyes of this person in front of him were so soft. Standing with him, he felt a very comfortable feeling. "Why don't you go up and compete with them?" Su Han said. "Forget about people like me. What's the point of competing with them?" You don't have a self-deprecating smile on your face at this time. He still remembers that his other 2 companions are suitable for the body. The scene of blocking the big monster and letting himself escape quickly. If it wasn't because of his wrong decision, those 2 wouldn't have died there because of it, and his other 2 companions wouldn't have been seriously injured and his Dantian damaged. Strength benefit. Limit. Originally, they all had a bright future, and they could all travel on this fairy road. But because of him as a sinner, those 2 people were seriously injured and suffering from illness at this moment, and now they can only live in the outer door. It's not that he didn't think of a way. He even asked the owner of their glacier valley, but the owner of their glacier valley was also powerless to recover from this kind of injury. He even went to look for Danwang Pagoda, although going to Danwang Pagoda would make him pay other prices, but it doesn't matter, as long as he can let his 2 companions practice again, then everything he does is worth it. But when he described the injuries of those 2 companions to the alchemists of Danwang Pagoda, those alchemists said they were powerless. When he heard that those alchemists were helpless, his whole belief completely collapsed. He felt that he was a sinner, a complete sinner. If it wasn't for him, those people would not be hurt because of this. He is a total disaster star. "Are you blaming yourself?" Su said. "Isn't it? I really can't figure it out. What's the use of a person like me living in this world?" The look on Li Wuxiang's face became more and more decadent. "Did you exchange your life with the life of your companion?" Su Han said. Hearing this sentence, Li Wuxiang in front of him was shocked, and then he said, "Yes, everyone knows now, after all, who doesn't know what a scum like me does? What qualifications does Dakwang have to stand here? I should apologize with death." As he said that, he wanted to abolish his meridians, and then punish him here. Su Han directly stopped him, with an angry look on his face, and he slapped Li Wuxiang severely. "Li Wuxiang, you damned coward. Do you know who bought your life for you? Do you think your current life belongs to you only?" Su Han said. Li Wuxiang, who was in front of the person who said this sentence, stared blankly. His face was shocked, and he fell into silence. "Let me tell you, this life was brought back by your 4 companions. You died like this. Are you worthy of them? You are a damned coward," Su Han said. Speaking of this, Li Wuxiang in front of him had tears of regret streaming down his face at this time. He murmured, I'm sorry, I was wrong. If I didn't make such a decision at the beginning, I wouldn't hurt you. I lost 4 of them. 2 of them lost their lives because of me, and the other 2 were seriously injured because of me. Obviously they trust me so much, they respect me so much, but because of my pride and self-satisfaction, I let them go to a place where they will never recover. Even before they die, they will use up this last strength to put I'm bringing the hell out of that place. Speaking of this, Li Wuxiang couldn't hold back anymore. He had completely collapsed at this moment. He wanted to die, but if he died, he would be sorry for the other 4 people. Those 4 people gambled their future and lives to bring him out, but now he has lived like this. He couldn't even help the other 2 people recover their injuries and restore their cultivation. He felt that he was really useless. You are right. I am a coward, an out-and-out coward. Li Wuxiang has completely fallen into regret at this moment. From the day he woke up after walking out of the withered forest, he seemed to have lost his soul. But what's the use of that? What's the point of cultivating? They risked their lives to save me, but what they saved was just a useless coward. Li Wuxiang showed a wry smile on his face. Until now, he no longer had any hope of continuing to practice, which made him increasingly depressed. Seeing the people on the ring fighting vigorously, he just missed it. But the more he misses it, the more he will fall into the vortex of pain. Su Han immediately slapped him on the face, and this slap directly caused Li Wuxiang in front of him to show a dazed expression. It's really worthless for their death. If they know that they have saved such a guy with their lives, then I don't think they will do such a thing again. Su Lang snorted. What they saved was the high-spirited you back then, not the coward you are now, Su Han said angrily. But he couldn't help it, after all, the young man in front of him was completely destroyed in the duel with the big demon. To this day, he still hasn't figured out how strong the big monster is. It's not that he hasn't worked hard for this. He wanted to take revenge like that big monster. After so long of training, coupled with the subsequent blows, he found that no matter how strong he became, he could not meet that monster. As a big monster, he felt that he still had no chance of winning. That's right, they saved a coward back. If that's the case, I'll give their lives back today. Li Wuxiang showed a bleak smile on his face, and he immediately pulled out the sword in his hand. I want to kill myself with a sword. Just when he was about to end his life with a sword, suddenly a big hand held his arm, preventing the sword in his hand from entering and sharing. When he came back to his senses, he only saw Su Han, who was listening, staring at him with a frowning face. You guy, you really let me down. You not only let me down, but also the other two dead people, and even the other two disabled people should be even more disappointed in you. Su Han shook his head helplessly. He also felt that he was too naive. How can I easily save the person in front of me who has been tortured for hundreds of years with just a few words? After all, this guy has been living in regret for so long. How could he change easily because of some of his words? Up to now, the main reason is that he no longer has the belief to live, and the health of his two friends who survived by chance is also deteriorating. And he has no way to save them at all, which makes him depressed all day long, and makes him have no idea of cultivation. Forget it. I really can't do anything about you. If I can tell you, I can save them, Su Han said. Can you save them? Even the top alchemist in the Pill Emperor Pagoda said that the two of them cannot be saved. Unless they refine the legendary Tinlian fortune pill, no one can save them. Now even the Pill Emperor Pagoda has been destroyed. Who can save them? Li Wuxiang showed a tragic smile on his face. After hearing these words, the corners of Su Han's mouth twitched in front of him. Cooperating with this guy for these few days, he didn't care about any news from the outside world and was completely immersed in his own world. As long as he cares about any news from the outside world, I'm afraid this guy has come to him long ago. I have refined a 9th grade elixir, and if I have the ability to practice it, then it shouldn't be a problem to save your two companions, Su Han said. For this guy in front of him, he really has nothing to do. He can only show his cards here, but after hearing this sentence, Li Wuxiang in front of him had a gleam of light in his eyes. The previous depression was gradually replaced by the light in his eyes. He looked at Su Han in front of him, just like looking at a baby. Really? Senior, can you really help me? Help me save my two companions? Li Wuxiang said with a little excitement in his words. That's natural. Since I said it, it will be done naturally. You can go and inquire about the outcome of the alchemist competition in the Pill-Body Pagoda a few days ago. Of course I won't lie to anyone, after all I'm very pragmatic, Su Han said. Originally, I wanted to use words to motivate him, but I found that this guy is completely reckless, so now I just have a showdown and just tell him that I can have that strength. Why do you know this? Li Wuxiang also recovered from his sadness at this time, and began to show a puzzled look on his face. It can be said that he has never seen this person in front of him. Over the past few hundred years, he has heard of some outstanding disciples of various sects, and even some famous elders of sects, and even has some impressions of him. But the person in front of him didn't seem to know him at all, and he didn't know where he came from. He suddenly found himself saying that he was able to refine the 9th grade elixir, and he knew everything about himself. How could this not make him suspicious? Yu Guzu is my good friend. He seemed to have talked about you before, although he didn't describe what you look like, but seeing your depressed look, I knew that guy should be you. That's right, Su Han said. Su Han was also at this time. He never thought that this guy would recover quickly after hearing the news, and he could become so rational. Obviously before, there was still a muddle-headed look, dying to live, but when there was hope in his eyes, he changed into another look. Sure enough, No matter how depraved this guy is, he still has some shrewdness and reason. What on earth are you helping me for? What is there in me that is worthy of your scheme? Li Wuxiang said. He didn't argue with Su Han Xu in front of him, but directly reached out. He didn't believe that there were really such good people in this world who could help others so desperately. In his view, all of this is nothing more than a relationship of interest, because there is no stable bond between them. They are neither friends, nor mentors, nor relatives. May I ask, without these three relationships, who can do their best to help you? So he is doubting. He suspected that Su Han in front of him came close to him with a purpose, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to find out everything about him so clearly. Okay, if you say there is a purpose, even if it is, but let me tell you now, I have a way to save him. Su Han didn't want to talk to him anymore. Instead, it was a showdown with him directly, and if the other party was so straightforward, then so was he. Is what you said true or false? That day, Lian Haohua pill was a 9th grade elixir, and even Wu Hongdao, the tower master of the Zhou Pagoda, didn't have the ability to guarantee 10 walk training. Li Wuxiang said. Wu Hongdao, that old ghost. What kind of rubbish is he? Since I said I can do it, then I will definitely do it. If you don't want to believe me, then forget it. Just continue to be decadent, continue to be depressed, continue to look at your two friends, live in pain all day long, and watch your cultivation base gradually fade away all day long. A guy like you, no wonder you killed them, Su Lang snorted. These words also made the gift in front of him feel completely angry, but it also made him feel very guilty. That's right. What I have done has cost the lives of 2 people in the future of the other 2. So far, one person stood in front of me and said that he was able to help himself and help the other 2 seriously injured people to get out of difficulties. And I even wonder if the other party is trying to plot something on me? It's ridiculous. I'm already a cripple now, and I'm getting depressed day by day. Many juniors have already surpassed me, and he's no longer the talented boy who was full of spirits back then. Now that things have happened, what else can I lose now? Apart from his own life, there should be nothing to lose, right? But even this life, he felt that he could throw it away at any time, so what else is there to say? That being the case, then bet that the guy in front of him can help him rescue those 2 companions. Okay, I believe you, as long as you can help me and save my 2 friends, then I can entrust my life to you, Li Wuxiang said. After 3 days, come to Yao Yanzong to get the pill, but it's not free. Within these 3 days, I need you to win a place among the only 10 seats in this sect competition. If you do, if not, then I can only give you a pill. I can only help you alone, and the remaining one, you can only watch him die. Do you understand? Su Han said. But don't bargain with me. You are not qualified to bargain with me now. This is my test of you and a guarantee of my character. If there is something wrong with my elixir, it will only be a death, right? At that time, you can come to me for revenge, but if my elixir is effective, if you can't even win one of the 10 seats in this sect grand competition, then you can only watch helplessly. Another companion of yours perishes. I think this will make you suffer even more, do you understand? Su Rang said. After hearing this sentence, Li Wuxiang in front of him was shocked. He didn't expect the guy in front of him to do this. He was right. If he couldn't even win the 10 seats in this sect grand competition, then what face would he have to negotiate terms with the person in front of him? What value does he have that can be used by the opponent? At this time, a fierce fighting spirit ignited in his eyes. Are you okay now? If not, then this deal can be terminated, Su Han said. After all, the opponent's strength has not been improved for a long time now, and his fighting spirit is depressed, which even makes Su Han feel that he is useless. I don't know if he will use those martial arts skills, which also makes Su Han a little worried. After all, if he doesn't play well, then maybe the other party will hate him. But in this situation, he has no other way to chase the lamp and use some special means to stimulate the guy in front of him. He was afraid that if he cured his other 2 friends, this guy would seek his own death again for the sake of the other 2 dead people. If this happened, wouldn't he be in vain? Don't worry about seniors. It's a great honor for seniors to help me. Since this is the case, I need to fight for my physical appearance. I will make my 2 friends safe and sound. Li Wuxiang's eyes changed. I became firmer, and the previous depression had completely dissipated at this moment. He also exuded a cold aura in front of him, and those watching addresses suddenly felt that the temperature behind them was dropping sharply. It is obviously a scorching summer day, and the power of the sun is gathering here in Yaoyanzong's territory. How could it make him feel cold at this time? He looked back and found the guy in front of him, wearing a blue robe, with cold eyes, and those blue pupils seemed to freeze everything in this world. He walked past him slowly, the cold breath made his body tremble uncontrollably. After that, he came to his senses, and said tremblingly at the corner of his mouth, "Who the hell is this guy? Why didn't I have any impression of such a terrifying person before?" While the monks below were still watching, suddenly, they noticed that there seemed to be a terrifying aura approaching slowly behind them, and this terrifying aura made them turn their heads one after another. They found that the person in the blue robe was slowly walking towards the platform of tears. What he locked on was the person standing on the ring and occupying a place. That person was also a genius disciple of Da Luo Jianzong. He looked at this person who was slowly walking towards him, and his face paused. Among the crowd, they were also a little surprised when they saw a person jumping up and standing on top of the genius disciple of the great Luo sword sect. Where did this guy come from? Why haven't I seen him before? I don't know, this guy's aura is so strong, he looks so extraordinary. How did this happen? How come I haven't seen such a strong man? Who is this guy? However, judging by his clothes, he should belong to Glacier Valley. Li Wushang's high-profile appearance also caused all the sect disciples below to talk about it, and the person standing on the ring now had a fighting spirit on his face. In the Glacier Valley, a disciple below shrank his pupils slightly, looking at the person in front of him who had slowly walked onto the ring. This is impossible, this guy, how could this guy have the courage to run up? The disciple of Ice River Valley was so shocked that he couldn't speak clearly. Senior brother, who is this? Why did it shock you so much? It looks like he is also from our Glacier Valley, but this person seems to have never seen him before. There are several disciples from Glacier Valley next to him with expressions on their faces. Confused. Maybe you have just entered the sect, and you may think that the most powerful ones in our sect are just those senior brothers, but the most amazing and brilliant person back then is the one in front of you. But something happened that year, which made this senior brother depressed, and then disappeared from everyone, and his strength has not been exhausted for many years. The disciple of Ice River Valley said. How can you reach the broken realm without making any progress in strength for many years? This sentence directly shocked the few disciples next to him. I really didn't think about it. What is it that made him go up? Could it be that he has the will to die? As soon as the thought came out, the disciple in front of him immediately showed a bad look on his face. And Fang Hangsen, who was watching the battle above, was a little shocked when he saw Li Wuxiang stand up. This kid. Why did this kid take the initiative to stand up? Does he want to take his life on this ring? After Fang Hangsen had this idea, he was also very nervous at this time. But after a long time, he also let out a long sigh. This guy, maybe dying on this ring is also his destination. He has always felt guilty. I can only watch him gradually lose his enthusiasm for cultivating Taoism, and there is no more light in his eyes. Maybe he is going to leave his life here today. After hearing this sentence, the expressions on the faces of the ancestors of the sect next to them were not very good. After all, such a genius became famous at a young age. At that time, it can be said that all sects had heard of his name. His strength and talent can be said to be first-class and powerful. The existence of being able to withstand all the geniuses of the sect back then has now become what it is now. They have also seen Li Wuxiang a few times by chance. There is no trace of energy in his eyes, and the whole person is like a string. Like a puppet, the walking dead live in the world. Fang old ghost, don't be too sad. This kid, after all, he also values love and righteousness, doesn't he? Lin Yan patted Fang Hangsen's shoulder at this time, but after a burst of roaring sounded in the next second, only the big Luo Jianzong's disciple fell directly from the ring. This movement made everyone present a little puzzled, especially Fang Hangsen, who was in a daze at the moment. Well, what's going on with this kid? Isn't he going to seek his own death? Why did he do such a thing? Fang Hangsen was a little puzzled. He has been in contact with Li Wuxiang for so many years, and he has also used some practical actions to motivate him to forget about this incident, but that incident dealt too much blow to Li Wuxiang, who became famous at a young age. Even in the end, he can only give up on Li Wuxiang, because it is useless to save a person who no longer has the belief to become stronger and live. What's more, it is too difficult to cure the injuries of Li Wuxiang's two companions. First of all, the 9th grade elixir has persuaded most of them to leave. What is even more difficult is the medicinal material that the 9th grade elixir must have. Wanian Tinlian, this medicinal material is very rare now. Even he couldn't get it out, and even if he got the medicinal materials, it would be very difficult to shop for a 9th grade elixir. When he saw that Su Han was able to refine the 9th grade elixir, He was a little excited to see if he could help his disciples, but a clever woman can't cook without rice. He doesn't have those medicinal materials, so how can he ask for help? Moreover, he doesn't know where to find such medicinal materials now. And the momentum on Li Wuxiang's body above the ring became more and more icy. He stared at the crowd below and said, "If you want to come up and challenge me, hurry up, I don't have time to waste here." After hearing this sentence, all the cultivators below exploded. It's fine for a person who just walked up to pretend to be aggressive, but now another one comes out, and it's exactly the same words, exactly the same expression, just let them clench their fists now. However, this guy's strength seems to be a little unpredictable, but so what? No matter how strong he is, can he still be stronger than Mo Yu, who used to fight against 100? Hee, it's amazing, it's really amazing. Now any brat can come up and say such things to the people below us. He really treats us like soft persimmons. Anyone can pinch them casually, right? There is a person who burst out with a terrifying aura at this moment. All I saw was a strong man slowly walking onto the ring. His strong body and every muscle seemed to possess terrifying and powerful strength. He is a disciple of the Yujia sect. Originally, he wanted to take a good look at the situation at the scene. He also knew that in this sect's competition, some people were beyond his power, so he could only look for opportunities later. However, a person who came before put down his bold words, and it would be fine to be 1 against 100. Now another person ran out, and this person seemed to be unknown, and he had never seen him before. This guy just defeated him openly. The person who was originally guarding the ring, and then said such words again according to the gourd painting. It was completely underestimating them, at least he couldn't stand it any longer. The moment he stepped onto the ring, he let out a roar, and immediately a huge magic circle appeared under his feet, and 10 gray wolves suddenly appeared beside him. A pair of cold and heartless eyes stared at Li Wuxiang in front of him. Hee, you barely have a bit of strength. I originally wanted to secure my hand and take over the ring, but I didn't expect you to be 1 step ahead. I just came to see what you are capable of. Come on. Report your name, I will not kill the unknown. The big man in front of him showed a coldness on his face. Li Wuxiang, can we start the fight? Don't waste my time anymore. Li Wuxiang said coldly. Hee, remember, Li Wuxiang, my name is Wang Po, today, you will be defeated by my hands. Wang Po snorted coldly. Come on, Shadow Wolf, let's go down his calendar together. The group of disciples below also became interested when they saw this tit-for-tat scene on the stage. This is a duel between the people of Yujiazong and the people of Ice River Valley. It is rare for these two people to face each other in ice. And the shadow wolf next to him seemed to have sensed Wang Po's intentions, and he rushed out immediately, like a ghost. Before Li Wuxiang could react, he had already come behind him, and immediately after that, the 10 claws directly wanted to cut Li Wuxiang in front of him into pieces. If his move really had the effect as he imagined, the gift in front of him seemed to be completely torn into pieces by this grab. Seeing this scene, Wang Po showed a satisfied smile on his face, but his smile disappeared instantly in the next second. Ice prism. Li Wuxiang snorted coldly. Saw Li Wuxiang suddenly appear opposite Wang Po, and then he shot a powerful force of ice, which suddenly completely froze Wang Po in front of him. Just when Li Wuxiang was about to end the battle directly, Wang Po in front of him tore apart the ice block that controlled him with his bare hands. Then he raised his hands to block in front of him, the extreme cold ice directly froze his hands to death. He saw the right opportunity, and hurriedly retreated to a safe place. At this time, his battle pet, the Shadow Wolf, stopped in front of him. You guys are really hard to deal with. I thought I could get rid of you with one move. But that's fine, if you can get rid of with one move, it would be very boring. Wang Po coldly snorted Road. It's interesting, but I'm in a hurry, so I won't talk nonsense with you, Li Wuxiang said. Tianbing Hanwang, get rid of him. Li Wuxiang snorted coldly. In the next second, I could only see the power of ice behind him slowly gathering behind him, forming a huge phantom, covered in blue all the time, and the phoenix covered in ice roared at Wang Po in front of him. Immediately afterwards, he rushed towards Wang Po in front of him and the shadow wolf under him at a fast speed, and wherever the ice-cold phoenix went, it turned into a ground covered in ice and snow. Wang Po hadn't reacted yet. At this time the Sky Ice Frost Phoenix had already arrived in front of him. At this moment, a horrified look appeared on his face. This guy directly launched his big move if he disagreed with him, and he didn't intend to test him out at all. Immediately afterwards, the group of disciples in the audience heard only a miserable cry, and after that, the main spirit in front of him rolled down from the ring in a very embarrassing state. Seeing Wang Po's sad appearance, the monks below were also very surprised. If I read correctly just now, this move should be the Ice and Frost Phoenix, one of the top 10 unique moves in your Ice River Valley. Among you younger generations, it seems that no one except Hanku has mastered it. A disciple also said in a very shocked tone at this time. But I've met Hanku before. He doesn't look like that at all. Who the hell is this guy? Why did he suddenly appear and be able to use the top 10 unique skills of your Glacier Valley? Seeing him like this, he seems to have been in control for a long time. Are all the talented children of Ice River Valley hiding so deep now? If you don't show your strength, what kind of people are hiding in the dark? That's right, that's right. What is the origin of this guy? Even I am a bit delicious. I know a thing or two about this genius of ice and ribs, but I have no impression of this guy at all. There is a disciple of Da Luo Jianzong who has a puzzled look on his face at this moment. Hee, short-sighted, a newcomer like you should not know him. This guy was at the 4th level of the Broken Realm hundreds of years ago, and he hasn't changed until now. This guy has not made any progress for hundreds of years. From the looks of it, he seems to be a bit backward. Below, Da Luo Jianzong the disciple said coldly. Senior brother Wang, you know him. Several disciples of the great Luo sword sect nearby said in fear. I know, of course I know. Hundreds of years ago, I was defeated by this guy. I didn't expect that now, I am only a few small realms higher than him. It's ridiculous, but I can't wait. The person in front of Da Luo Jianzong, there was a sad smile on the face of the man called Senior Brother Wang by his disciples. But the next moment, the smile on his face disappeared instantly, replaced by something as sharp as a sword. He slowly walked up to the stage, and the terrifying sword energy beside him opened the way for him. The moment those disciples felt the surging suggestion behind them, they all automatically gave way to a wide path. After he walked onto the stage, he looked at Li Kaiyu, who was still as cold and ruthless as before. Moreover, he was unwilling to say a word. Looking at the familiar face in front of him, a smile finally appeared on his face. Said, "It's really been a long time, Li Wuxiang. I heard that you have been depressed all these years, and you have no intention of cultivating, but I didn't expect you to be able to stand on this stage, but now you really have the ability to stand up. Live? You are Wang Shu, so it's you." Li Wuxiang showed a look of emotion on his face, but it disappeared in the next second. You guys still remember me, you really let me down before, so disappointed. But I want to ask you, obviously you said earlier that you don't want to practice anymore, and you don't want to participate in anything anymore. Why do you come back now? Why are you still standing on this platform of tears? You are not only a coward, but also a guy who doesn't keep his promise. Wang Shu said angrily at this moment. Back then, I asked you to teach me, you guy. Those depressed eyes made me think, you are, simply, weak, but what's going on with your behavior today? Sorry, this seat will definitely belong to me today, and I have to make a reason and unless I fall here today, no one can take this seat away. Li Wuxiang said coldly. He didn't even want to explain to him what made him pick up his weapon again and start fighting. Hee, you bastard, if this is the case, then let me meet you. Hundreds of years ago, I said that I would beat you. Even now, even if you have fallen from the peak for a long time, I still want to beat you. To win you, although it is dishonorable to win. Because you damn bastard, you don't take me seriously at all, you are just fooling me, Wang Shu said angrily. Come on. Maybe you're right, I'm a coward, but that coward has to stand up today, and I won't let him lose. At this moment, Wang Shu pulled out the accompanying sword in his hand, and the sword intent emerged in his eyes. After so many years of training, his swordsmanship is no longer what it used to be. It's just that this matter is still backlogged in his mind, and it has become a huge obstacle for him to break through the realm. Now as long as he can defeat Li Wuxiang in front of him, then his sword heart will be clear, and his swordsmanship and cultivation will be greatly improved. Come on. Li Wuxiang, let's end the duel hundreds of years ago today, Tian Fan said angrily. He has never been so hot-blooded like today, he only feels that the blood in his body is about to boil, and the sword in his hand is gripping more and more tightly. Li Wuxiang looked at the enemy in front of him, and he was ready for battle at this time. After all, he and Wang Shu were old rivals, but this guy was only a few small realms higher than him over the years, which shows that what happened back then was very important to him. The impact is also great. That's right, these things will be completely settled today on the 13th, Li Wuxiang said. Su Han, who was watching from below, nodded as he watched their battle. As expected, Provocative words did not have any effect on a person who had been depressed for hundreds of years. It is still necessary to directly grasp his weakness, so that he can rekindle his fighting spirit, and now Li Wushang's fighting spirit is very surging. In this way, he will be able to invest successfully in the future. However, he just discovered a new target, and he didn't pay attention to the struggle on the ring anymore, and slowly came to the place where their sect disciples were. He also found a disciple in his own sect who was very talented and had a very high investment value. Senior Sister Wronger, these people are so powerful. We can only see below why they are so powerful. A female disciple next to her had a look of admiration on her face at this moment, but a depressed expression. Because the strength and talent of those people above are all first class and powerful, and ordinary disciples like them can only watch from below. This is a struggle that really belongs to the strong. People like them can only run back in despair, because their strength and talent are really insufficient. There's nothing we can do about it. After all, the brothers and sisters fighting in this battle are all extremely powerful and talented. A dim light appeared in Wronger's eyes. At this time, Su Han also came to their side, and Wronger, who was next to him, saw a tall figure beside him, and couldn't help turning his head to look. That face with sword eyes and star eyebrows made him short of breath at this moment, and then he also recognized the owner of this face. Elder Su. Why did you run out? Wronger was also a little surprised at this time. He still had a little understanding of Su Han's name. This Elder Su can be said to have a huge reputation, and he treats people very peacefully. Usually, some disciples who have doubts will look for him. Just come down and have a look, but why don't you go up and have a try? Su Han said. As he spoke, he glanced at Wronger's panel in front of him with his heavenly eyes. He didn't know if he saw it, but he was a little surprised when he saw it. Name. Zhu Wronger, Strength. Broken Realm 4th level. Air Luck. Light purple, comment. There is a trace of the blood of the ancient Vulcan Zhu Rong in the body, but it is extremely difficult to awaken this trace of blood. Recent encounter. The strength seems to have fallen into a bottleneck. Ordinary cultivation or the introduction of the power of the sun with the help of the sect's large formation, the cultivation can't make any progress. Solution. Collect powerful spiritual fire and devour it to awaken the blood of Vulcan Zhurong in his body. After seeing his panel, Su Han was also a little shocked. He didn't expect this little girl to have some relationship with the rumored ancient fire god Zhu Rong, although it was only a trace of blood. But this is related to the ancient gods, which is enough to prove that her talent potential is huge. Although she is only light purple luck now, as long as he awakens the trace of the ancient Vulcan blood in his body. Compared with its luck, it will also change accordingly, but it is a bit difficult to stimulate the blood in her body. That powerful spiritual fire is not easy to find. Ordinary flames are not comparable to that powerful spiritual fire. This spiritual fire is something that is naturally raised, and it can be said to have extremely strong plasticity and terrifying power. Spiritual fire cannot be refined, it can only be cultivated naturally, so it is extremely difficult to stimulate the blood of Zhu Rong, the god of fire in Zhu Ronger's body, but since there is a direction, it must be excellent. Why don't you go up and try it out? You're still the strongest in the sect. Why don't you go up and try it out? Su Han said. Elder Su praised me. Those people are stronger than me now, but my cultivation has not fluctuated for a long time recently. They are all improving, but I have been standing still. Now I want to compete with them, it's just wishful thinking. Zhu Wronger spoke slowly, the look on her face becoming more and more gloomy. A lot of problems have been encountered in cultivation recently, Su Han said. Yes, Elder Su, I seem to have encountered a bottleneck in my cultivation, and I have been stagnant at the same place, unable to make any further progress. And this question has troubled me for a long time. No matter how hard I practice, how I introduce the power of the sun's flames into my body, I can't make any improvement in my cultivation. My talent is, can't you just support me here? A trace of disappointment flashed in Zhu Wronger's eyes. Speaking of this, the expression on her face also became a little depressed. No one wants to see her strength stagnate, but she has no choice. Yes, it's her talent. There must be a way. The fire element should be what you specialize in, right? Then why don't you find a way to find some spiritual objects to improve your strength? Su Han said. This is also a reminder to her from the side. If so, maybe she can find a solution to her own cultivation. Spiritual objects are nothing more than external objects after all. To improve your strength, you still have to rely on yourself and your own efforts. Relying on these external objects will not last long. Zhu Wronger shook her head at this moment. She knew that relying on external things alone would definitely not work. If she wanted to become strong, she had to raise her own strength. I heard that there is a way to solve your urgent need, Su-han said slowly. What way? Elder Su. At this time, Zhu Ronger's eyes also showed a little light. It would be great if she could find a way to solve her current predicament. She didn't want her strength to stagnate. It is said that there are many spiritual creatures in this world, and if you specialize in fire-type exercises, you may be able to find the rumored spiritual fire and refine it, which may solve your problem. However, refining the spiritual fire is also somewhat difficult, and this spiritual fire is a natural product, and it is not easy to find it. All this depends on yourself, Su-han said. This is equivalent to giving him a general direction, but after hearing this method, Zhu Ronger in front of him showed an embarrassed look on his face. It seems a bit difficult. After all, this spiritual fire is a natural thing. If you want to find it, you still have to see if I have this fate, Zhu Ronger said with a sigh. This method is good, it can improve her strength, and if this heaven and earth spirit can refine it, it will also be a major improvement for her own strength, but how can it be so simple to find it? If you don't have enough luck, how can you guarantee that you can meet such a god? This natural thing can only be obtained by oneself under a certain chance. You have to go out and try it, don't you? But you have been practicing in the sect for a long time. Maybe you also need to go out and find your own opportunities, but this time may be an opportunity. As Su-han spoke, he cast his eyes on the ring, which meant that Zhu Ronger should go up to compete for this rare seat. I understand what you mean. Maybe there will be something I need in the ancient burial god realm. If that's the case, then I have to fight for it. Maybe I will find the spirit fire of the day in it. There was a little light in Zhu Ronger's eyes at this moment. Isn't this a ready-made good opportunity? If you can get the quota to enter the ancient burial god realm, then maybe you can get this heaven and earth spirit fire if you try your luck in it. Thank you, Deputy Elder, for waking me up. I'm going to fight for it this time, Zhu Ronger said. At this time, she also felt full of energy. After all, she had already found an accurate direction for her efforts. At this time, on the ring, Wang Shu and Li Wuxiang were going back and forth between the two sides. No one would give in to the other, and Wang Shu's every move was powerful and heavy, and every move was aimed at the vital point. After all, Li Wuxiang in front of him hadn't cultivated for too long, and he hadn't picked up the weapon in his hand for too long, so that now he was completely at a disadvantage, and was defeated by Ya Jia, who was beaten by the master in front of him. Wang Shu saw the right opportunity at this time, and wanted to kill Li Wuxiang directly with a sword, but Li Wuxiang was the most powerful arrogance ever, so he immediately reacted. Facing the knife that was about to pierce his throat sword, he hastily swung his body, trying to dodge. But how could it be so easy for Wang Shu to let him go? After he saw that Li Wuxiang was about to evade his tricks, he swung his wrist and turned the blade, and the speed was so fast that Li Wuxiang in front of him did not expect it. Li Wuxiang dodged this sword hastily at this time. After this move, he found that a sword mark had appeared on his shoulder, and the blood had already flowed out from his shoulder. Li Wuxiang, you really let me down now. I thought that even if you haven't cultivated all these years, you would never forget the tricks in your hands, and you would not lose the weapons in your hands, but you really let me down. Disappointed. Are you so cowardly that you haven't even picked up your own weapon? Wang Shu let out a roar, and stared at Kong Wuxiang in front of him. It's a shame to fight against you now. If you are depressed, you should be depressed. Why are you showing up now? Wang Shu roared angrily. Li Wuxiang stood up, stared at Wang Shu who was furious in front of him, and said, "Sorry, I have to do it, reason, I have to win this battle." After hearing this sentence, Wang Shu in front of him was stunned, and then the anger on his face eased, and he said, "You guy really makes me a little unbelievable. I saw you a few days ago and still looked cowardly. Why, you became like this in an instant. I said that I have a reason to do it. You can't beat me today unless you take my life away." Li Wuxiang also roared angrily at this time. Immediately afterwards, he clenched the blue long sword in his hand and said angrily, "Sky profound cold dragon, come out." After this roar, the power of ice behind him slowly gathered, and a huge ice dragon appeared behind his body. The ice dragon spit out a cold dragon's breath, and then roared at Wang Shu in front of him. Wang Shu also became serious at this moment, and at the same time said with a smile on his face, "It is meaningful for you to win like this, you guy. After all, you have not let me down. If that is the case, then let the grievances between you and me be completely settled in this battle." Asura sword, Vientiane Skyfall. After the two met face to face, neither of them showed any mercy. At this moment, they have already shown their killer moves, and they seem to want to quickly deal with each other. A dark hole suddenly appeared behind Wang Shu in front of him. He wanted to rush towards the gift in front of him blankly. At this moment, the black sword intent behind him slowly gathered into a huge statue of Shira God. The Shira statue held a long sword in its hand, and the black sword was so sharp that it seemed to tear the world apart. Li Wuxiang didn't give up much, he only saw the ice dragon in his hand moving forward without fear. He charged forward with his sword in hand, and the fateful duel between the two had been pushed to a climax at this moment. Just like that, the Shira god holding the sword collided with the ice dragon. This is the airflow generated, which shocked the whole world, and the ancestors of the sects watching from above were also a little shocked at this time. Asura Sword Dao, this kid is really amazing. The Asura Sword Dao can be cultivated to such an extent by him, the disciples of your sect are really hiding it. Lin Yan looked at the ancestor of Daluo Jianzong and said, "What's so strange about this? There must be some powerful brats in every sect. Those in your sect are not bad, but what I didn't expect is that this brat has such a strong fighting spirit now. What kind of things did this brat understand that allowed him to risk his life so hard and win this duel?"